Here we go. So, for those of my friends that have me on Facebook that are following this, and on Instagram, and everything else, you guys wanted to know for the longest time my official stance on Andrew Tate, because a lot of the stuff I've been saying on behalf of men's rights, particularly concerning Native men being the most disenfranchised group in America, even though Andrew Tate isn't one of our people, I try to use the best of what he says, or even just the truth of what... He's an example of a broken clock being right twice a day. That's the best way I can put it. He's not wrong about the fact that we need to stop putting women on a pedestal. He's not wrong about the fact that this is a failed society. I mean, it's a failure in the sense that it's not a cohesive... I mean, even this country, even if I bought into the idea of the United States of America, which, like I said, was a bastardization of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, our people, and, not only that, there was... Let's say I just took it on the culture of each individual 50 state, right? The 50 stars. As much as we like to believe we're a united country, this country is not united at all. You got left states versus right states, you know, so-called coastal elitists, something only people from inbred places like... generally from states that people don't want to live in, tend to shit on coastal elites. Which is kind of funny, because a lot of times you'll see people from the South talk that kind of shit. And it's like, you guys are still on the eastern seaboard. You might be south of the Mason-Dixon line, but you're still part of the East Coast. Like, I love when they try to say Florida isn't part of the South. It's really not up to you. It's up to, you know, latitude and longitude. But, no, as far as Andrew Tate goes, right? He's lived in two countries that are becoming more and more gynocentric. Now, the issue with a lot of the men in our cultures is some tribes are matriarchal, some are patriarchal, and some are bilateral. I think bilateral is the best way to go. But that's just me personally. Now, as far as Andrew Tate, I'm going to talk about what I agree with and then what I don't agree with about him, and just the ways he's a hypocrite, too. So, he's got one thing down. Whether or not he's guilty, let's talk about that first. I don't know if he's guilty, but what I do know is there's supposedly all this evidence, but they're still in jail rather than prison, and Romania is known for corruption, especially where the police are concerned. I mean, my issue with the women that I'm friends with that don't like him, and it's mostly the ones from America, the ones from Central America think he's funny as fuck, at the very least. I mean, a lot of what he's saying is a show. His brother is probably the smarter of the two. Tristan is the smarter of the two. He doesn't, I mean, he's in trouble too, but he doesn't put himself out there as much. Like, I'll give you some examples of, so my issue, sorry if I'm stammering a little bit, my issue with this is, I don't think most of the people who are hating Andrew Tate, this whole thing about his accusation of sex trafficking, it's like his fans say that he's been set up, it's the Matrix, and his haters say that he's guilty, but this is not a trial of public opinion. Even in another country that I don't understand completely how their legal system works, the thing of it is, you still have to look at what the evidence suggests. Now, I do know that he did do something along the lines of an equivalent of webcam shit with some of his exes or something, and he split 50% of the money, so whether it's false or true, they at least have an MO of his, so to speak, to where they could base that on. So, whether it's a setup or not, or it's something he actually did, they have... You know the saying, the biggest indicator of future behavior is past behavior? I'm a strong believer in that. I'm not saying no one could be redeemed, but you have to look at people's actions and patterns rather than their words. I think he was kind of stupid with the whole trolling Greta Thunberg thing. I mean, there are people who have their issues with her. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to help the environment, but some of the extremes that people are going to aren't really working anyway. I thought his whole thing about trolling her with like, oh, look at how much carbon emissions my Bugatti lets it. Like, who cares, dude? You can't. No, but here's what I'm gonna give him props on. He's got a point to where most of the men that advocate for men, whether you believe he's genuine or not, that's not the issue here. Whether you believe he's genuine or not, he is what a lot of MRA types and even the MGTOWs and a lot of red pillars, a lot of those guys are either bitter divorcees or they're virgins. But, and I'm gonna touch up on the word incel here in a little bit too, and how that's a uniquely male insult, and we'll tackle the whole femcel thing too. But Andrew Tate, where the fuck is that mission for Charles? I didn't know who he was until my friends told me about him. It's just that easy for me to check out mentally. Okay, let's do this one. It's sort of close. But like, I don't know who any of the rappers are nowadays. I stopped giving a fuck in 2008. I mean, I know who some of them are only because I see them on interviews or, you know, Time Magazine. It's like, who is this person that shouldn't be famous? But my point is, a lot of these dudes that are like MGTOW types, red pill types, like MGTOW is freedom, that guy's a fat loser. And I don't want to be like him. I don't want to be like Andrew Tate either, but I do admire the fact that he at least got a lot of money, and he did it through a traditionally masculine means of doing it. I'm not a kickboxer. Now, I plan on learning martial arts and boxing fundamentals myself. But the thing of it is it's like Andrew Tate will talk about the Matrix, but then it's like he'll shit on so-called brokies, and he'll talk about people who are exploited by the system. Now, to a degree, I understand his way of thinking, and one of the people I follow on the Amazing Atheist, he was pointing out how it's like, okay, you act like you're against men being exploited, especially the average man, but then you also shit on them. He's like, so are you blaming the victim? And I thought about that too, and I'm that same way towards average people. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being average if you're actually happy with it, but I don't want that myself either. And it's not so much that it's about blaming the victim. I think this is what Andrew Tate is thinking. It's not so much that he hates them for being who they are, he hates them for not trying to better their situation and applying themselves, because it does look like, from what his brother was saying, they were poor. Tristan used to go to KFC and basically they would, back when they had the KFC buckets outside, they would collect them and they would take what wings people left behind or whatever, and if they did it enough, they were able to have quite a meal. So I'm making more money now than I did in the past, but you always remember how far you came, so there's nothing wrong with rags to riches, but you should kind of be a little bit humble about it. And just me personally, like, it's cool if he wants to have a Bugatti, but I don't personally like Bugattis. And it's like, don't do that environment thing. Like, I'll admit, I want a lowrider. I grew up on the West Coast. I grew up in the Vario. So, even though my roots are in the East Coast, but that's where when I jokingly tell people I'm West Coast. But, you know, a little bit of West, a little bit of East, but, because I am going to go East, but I'm gonna see the Homeland. But the thing about Andrew Tate... Alright, so here's the things about him I don't really agree with, and I guess rather than rattling off the things I don't agree with first, and then things I do agree... I'm just gonna say what comes to mind. That's easier. I got major ADHD. Before it became a thing for ADHD to be a main thing. This was before smartphones. Anyway, he's on this Playboy shit, and he's got a point to the degree where he's like, yeah, dude should learn to be kind of a Sancho, more of a Playboy, if you want to have any hope of finding a good relationship, because that's the way the game is if you're dating American women now. I know that American women, there are some still out there that just want a regular relationship, like the average guy might want that, but the way that they've, with the OnlyFans thing and simp culture, Andrew Tate wouldn't be as relevant if we didn't have the kind of society that... He's a reactionary. That's the best way I can put it. He's a reactionary. And I find it interesting when I agree with somebody a lot of the time, but also disagree with them a lot of the time. That's the most interesting kind of person there is, but I'm not saying I would be his friend, because I don't agree with some of what he says, like, oh, you can't have, she can't have male friends and all this other shit. Like, and he said that, and as much as I'm against feminism, and believe me, I am, I've organized with those bitches during the Occupy movement. I thought I had misjudged them before, and that it was just a stereotype that they hate men. No, that's not a stereotype. If they're third wave or fourth wave feminists, they more than likely do. And if they don't, they're not being true to themselves as what a feminist is. Because it's not about equality, it's about their definition of equity. They're not concerned with equality. Women actually do have more rights than men do. They don't have to register for the selective services when they turn 18. They don't. They've never been drafted. Most inmates in America are men. And granted, we do commit most crime, but you know how they try to make it seem like rape is primarily a female issue? Well, and it's because most of who gets sexually assaulted are women. Well, my thinking on that is, most people who are murderers or murdered, like 90%, something like that, are men. So, do I then have the right to say that murder is a men's issue, especially when I know that in my own community, missing and murdered indigenous women is a reoccurring thing, and they're killing both the men and the women, but a lot of the times, what will happen is the men, when there is alcohol involved, they won't see it as a murder when there's alcohol involved. They'll be like, oh, he got in a drunken fight or something like that, you know? But when it comes to, like, Native women are more likely to be murdered than any other kind of woman. I think the two most endangered women in America probably are black women and Native women, but Native women more so. With black women, they are more likely to die of domestic violence than any other group, and it's mainly from their own men. I'm not saying this to start some shit, I'm just going by the statistics, and... Okay, I'm gonna hit this fool with this machete. Okay. Alright, so, and then with Native women, they get killed a lot too and raped at like a much higher, I forgot the exact statistics, but at a much higher rate than non-Native women. Okay, now I gotta start shooting these guys. And, so if I were to just say murder is mostly a men's issue, there'd be plenty of people that took issue with it, but there's no problem with doing that with sexual assault. There are some people that also believe women can't actually rape men. Like, especially in instances where if the dude's got an erection, they'll be like, oh, he was aroused. It's like, that doesn't matter. And that's just how much apathy this country actually has towards men. And another thing that he's right about is history does not reward weak men. I'm of the belief that men are made, not born. There's different expectations for both genders. But where he's full of shit on is like, he's a Muslim. He's supposed to be a Muslim. And he's talking about all this other shit, like what the women are doing are haram and all that. It's like, what you're doing is haram. You're not supposed to fornicate. For those that don't know, in Islam, since it is the most fundamentalist religion there is, they're the one, meaning they're the ones that take their own religious doctrine literally. Compared to Christians who like to say, "Oh, you just misunderstood the context." Okay, we're back to 1,000. But the thing of it is like, you're allowed to have up to 4 wives in Islam, but you are not allowed to fornicate. That's 100 lashes from being whipped if you fornicate. And that's just for the dudes. I can't imagine what happens to the women, but I know that that's what's supposed to happen to a guy who fornicates. And this isn't a patriarchal religion, like a real patriarchal religion. Like in the patriarchal societies in a lot of native cultures, like the Shawnee, for example, women still have a fair amount of say. Like, you don't go to war in the Shawnee culture just like in my culture without the women having a final say, which is interesting because if we have a patriarchal tribe and a matriarchal tribe that does that and honors women in that way, what really then is the difference? So, you know, the problem with Andrew Tate is I can only apply his logic so much to where it applies to me and the rest of the men in our community. But like he's sitting there preaching about Islam or like using words in Arabic, and that's just something he converted to. And he's always talking about how England is this crime-ridden hellhole, but then he likes to talk about Dubai, like, yeah, because there's no crime there. Like, I know why a lot of Westerners like Dubai, is because, let's say you like Middle Eastern women, hypothetically, right? There you can actually see women dressed like Westerners, kind of the way Afghanistan and Iran used to be back in the 50s, before they had their civil wars that kind of led to a lot of religious repression, especially where women weren't concerned. So it would be easier to take Andrew Tate seriously, especially either on the Playboy tip or just being a masculine man if he wasn't with one of these Abrahamic religions, because at the end of the day, like, I could break this down and I'll try to keep it brief, but with, let's say for example, Allah, Elohim, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, that is actually a moon god. And the Jews, Christians, and Muslims got that god from, god damn it, I picked the wrong escape route. They got that god from the Sumerians and the Mesopotamians, who are older than their society, so... But they don't want to acknowledge their polytheistic roots. So, in that sense, and Andrew Tate is, if you look at his ethnic mix, he's white British and black American. And from his black side, like, a lot of them turned to Islam in America too, but it's like, look, I understand Christianity enslaved you, but so did Islam. The difference is, with white Christians who had slaves, we're talking about blacks in this instance, when they had slaves, they were predominantly men. When they tried to take my community into slavery, and they did sometimes, it was predominantly women and children. The men either had to be killed off or couldn't be taken into slavery because we knew the area and would come back with a raiding party. That is the real reason that they preferred African slaves. It's that, and they were immune to a lot of the diseases that were being brought over here that was killing us off, because, like smallpox, for example, wasn't hitting them because they had cows too, just like Europeans had cows, and the origins of these diseases mostly came from, like, cows and rats. And, you know, you hear people be like, oh, your side lost, get over it. And it's like, okay, well, you get over 9/11, you get over Pearl Harbor, but also, I don't see it as we lost. I see it as an occupation that's still going on. We can take the land back anytime we want, because, I mean, the thing of it is, most of our Latino brothers and sisters are indigenous too, and white people are going to be a minority in 2040, so I think this is why a lot act the way that they do with the white supremacy. It's like they know that their time is coming. They're going to be a minority, and they fear that because they know that actually in this country, being a minority, you get not blacks as much anymore because they have the most hyper visibility, and I don't think it's only because of them or a lack of anything anyone else did. It's just that they are better at guilt-tripping white liberals. And because African-American slave rebellions never really inflicted any serious damage on the U.S. military, that population wasn't seen as that much of a threat till the 1900s. They just weren't. I'm just talking history here. There's no need for anyone to get butthurt about it. What happened, happened. I mean, history isn't there for us to like or dislike. It's there for us to learn from and try not to repeat it. Unless it's something from the past that actually works. But anyway, back to Andrew Tate. So, on the Muslim thing, he's already a cuck for being a religion that enslaved his ancestors before even Christianity did. They're still enslaving Africans now. So it's like, he's a cuck on that front. I mean, when someone tells me that they're a Christian or a Muslim, I mean, this might offend some people, but it's like, do you know the history of how those religions got to be as big as they were? It wasn't through peace. Not with Christianity, as we can see in America and all of the Americas. And I'm including Catholicism. I hate it when Christians be like, oh, Catholics aren't Christian. Yes, they are. The criteria is this. You believe in the virgin birth of Jesus, the resurrection, Son of God, all that bullshit. So, yeah. But, and then with Islam, it's like, look, Afghanistan used to actually be a Buddhist country. Lebanon was Christian before Islam, and same with Pakistan. Pakistan and India used to be one country before British invasion. Like, not a single unified government per se, but Pakistan had a lot more Hindus back in the day than they do now. So, all the Abrahamic religions are imperialistic on a global scale. You can point to imperialism in other cultures that were polytheistic, like my people, or the Mongolians, or the Vikings, but the thing of it is like, Genghis Khan, he allowed more religious freedom than a Christian society that's actually Christian-run and not secular like America. I know people like to think this is a Christian country just because it's mostly Christian. Yeah, demographically that's what this is, but it was founded as a secular country. And secularism is something that only pagans and atheists have ever come up with. Like I said, Christians, Muslims, and Jews are all stands. If they're being true to what their books say, they are stands for monarchy. That's basically what a caliphate is. Okay. So, with Andrew Tate, I'm trying to think. He's the problem with alpha males or wannabe alpha males, whatever you consider him to be, is he's too controlling. Like he had this one instance where he was talking about the only 4 liquids you should drink, and he says, "I'll drink an energy drink because that gives you energy. I'll drink coffee so I can wake up in the morning. Orange juice, that gives you vitamins, blah, blah, blah." And then he says, "And alcohol gets you drunk, but what the fuck does Coke do? It serves no purpose, blah, blah, blah." It's like, okay, I understand that Coca-Cola has empty carbs and all that, but sometimes they will give you a Coke if you're diabetic and your blood sugar's low. Or so, it's good with, for me, the purpose it serves is, I don't try to drink it as much anymore, but when I'm having it with a good 2 later meals, it's like, okay, I'll do that. And then the other shit that Andrew Tate likes to do is be like, you can't drink. The fact that he's talking about drinking proves he's a fake Muslim. You're not allowed to drink, you're not allowed to eat pork, you're not allowed to fornicate. He's doing all of those things. He's probably fucked a few married women too, and that would get him a death sentence in an actual country with actual Sharia law. I take him about as seriously. I mean, he tried to live in a more third world country, but then he got arrested.
I got supplies.
What Andrew Tate did say that is...
You can take them. Just, is there any way you can help me? I stay out here. There won't be anyone to...
Not true is... He tried to say that all the matriarchal cultures in the world got blown the fuck out by patriarchal cultures, but that's not the case with mine. Granted, we're one of the few matriarchal cultures that can hold our own in war, especially on the East Coast, but we didn't get BTFO'd by the Algonquins. They outnumbered us for the longest time, and they're patrilineal. Okay, so this guy is clearly a white he's a deserter, and he's a white adoptee, because he's also known as Winter Goose, so whatever tribe the woman he married into, I guess he got named Winter Goose. A lot of tribes did adopt non-natives in. I'm glad that that's not as commonly practiced anymore, because in hindsight it's kind of a stupid philosophy. I mean, we have no more right to... This is how I look at situations like Quanah Parker's mom. Or just like white adoptees in a native tribe, or black adoptees, or any non-native. I look at it like this. We don't have the right to make them a part of our culture and have them start learning our ways and worshiping the way we worship, singing the way we sing, praying the way we do. We don't have the right to change them any more than they had the right to put our children in residential schools and make them Christians. So that's the way I look at it. I have a different view than a lot of our people do. But that we have to think different. We can't just have diversity of race and religion. We have to have diversity of thought.
I probably should have helped you fix the...
She would be better with Charles.
Still save something.
Really now?
I hope this guy dies down the line.
Take the silver locket for the debt.
Yeah, I'm gonna reclaim the debt. Cause
go. Get her somewhere safe. Go on.
Thank you, fella. I don't know where we can go, but I'll try. Pray for us.
We're past praying.
I know that wasn't the honorable choice, but someone pointed this out once, and I kind of agree. He's a deserter, right? But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily a good person. He could have still taken her against her will, because that kind of shit happened all the time in the army. I'm not saying that is what happened, but because I know history, that's what could have happened. And I know you could say, yeah, I'm just overanalyzing a game, but what I'm really doing is analyzing the history that informs the game. So anyway, back to Andrew Tate. One thing he does that I think honestly proves he's not as rich as he says, and Donald Trump is guilty of the same thing. I mean, I'm not denying he's rich, but he's not wealthy. Because if you're really wealthy, you wouldn't feel the need to flaunt it, and that's something Andrew Tate's brother Tristan does better. He's a little more discreet. I mean, he's a lot more blunt and straightforward too, but so that's some of the issue I have with him. He's a hypocrite on a religious level. But I do agree with some of the things he says about men, and my issue with a lot of the women on my friends list that hate him is I don't doubt that the accusations against him would vindicate your hatred for him if you believe he's a misogynist. And he does say some chauvinistic things, but feminists say misandrous things about men all the time, and they don't get called out or held accountable to the same degree. So what he is, though, is he's in shape, he's tall, and he's got money. And that's more than you can say for a lot of the dudes in the red pill circle. Now, what I agree with him on when he talks about how he's into it with some of the fugglier feminists, and there's a lot of them. But I won't deny that there's some that are pretty. You know, it's a mental thing, it's not a physical thing, but he goes, like, if you're gonna be a feminist, you should at least be hot, because it's like, if you're a 3, what the fuck am I talking to you for? And it's like, it is shitty people to judge people just off their appearances alone. Like, I've found pretty girls to be less trustworthy than girl next door types. But it's like he preaches all this shit about find a good woman, don't try to turn a hoe into a housewife. I know that's his philosophy, but then he's out there having casual sex, and he's encouraging men to do the same, which I think you should have some practice. You shouldn't settle down with the first woman you get with, but you gotta, even when you're like watching his content, you gotta take it with some moderation. Now, and that's what I say to the men that are watching this and that watch him, and a lot of my friends have admitted to it. So the girls that don't like him and the women that don't like him, a lot of you say the same kind of shit though that comes off feminist, and it ultimately ends up where you look like the kind of woman Andrew Tate is talking about. The kind that makes life hell for the average American man. Like, when Greta Thunberg, I don't know how to say her last name. When she was like saying, oh, you got small dick energy. The way he handled it was actually pretty funny. Like, I know a lot of people think that he got busted because of the pizza thing. That's not what happened. But she was like, oh, you got small dick energy. It's like, girls go there, and when they do that, it's a psyop to get inside your head. I got another homeboy that's more, and he watches Andrew Tate too. We'll call him Triple O, because I don't want to reveal his identity, but we'll call him Triple O. Triple OG, right? No. But he was talking about how he doesn't even believe in the word incel. And a lot of women that hate Andrew Tate think he's the incel king. And my thing is, you're an incel, whether you're a man or a woman, until you lose your virginity. That's just the bitter truth. You're an incel until you're not. And it's like, okay, one thing Tristan Tate said is to get revenge on a woman through physical means or other means. But then Andrew's talking about beating women, but he's like, the best revenge is to live. Getting revenge is an incel move or whatever, if you just want to hurt her. And I think, on one hand, I could see where you're coming from, but on the other hand, don't you want them to be held accountable? Sometimes revenge is the only thing that will hold them accountable. So, like, okay, your woman fucks around on you, or she just does some other shit that's out of bounds. Well, you don't have to beat her ass, but what you could do is put all her shit outside, or take all her shit somewhere and sell it for $1 each, no matter how expensive the items are. Sell it all for $1 and sell all her shit out from under her nose, and then keep the money for yourself. So you gotta get better at gaslighting them the way they gaslight us. And I'm not saying I want it to be men versus women or anything, but that's what it's become, and you have to adapt to situations. Okay.
You know where I can find Arthur Londonderry?
Arthur Londonderry? I think you're gonna want to speak with the foreman.
Yeah, alright. You know, I'm gonna also keep those jewels for when I go help Penelope Braithwaite, too. I didn't tell you what happens in the mission, but the reward is jewels that I will have to either
Arthur Londonderry.
let them keep or keep for myself.
I'm sorry, feller, but you're too late. Arthur's dead.
The man's dead. What's wrong with you?
Oh, boy, you can't exactly beat it out of him now, can you? You might get something off his widow just across from Butcher's Creek, but I'd hurry. You ain't gonna be the only one a-knocking.
You ought to be ashamed of
Hey,
yourself.
I ain't the godforsaken moneylender.
I think that they intentionally made it that his name is Arthur too, as a way to kind of teach Arthur a lesson. I think that was intentional. I don't know about the rest of you, but I think that's what was going on. Sorry, I'm not addressing the game just yet. I am to a point, but my friends have been hounding me about what I think about Andrew Tate for a while, and it's not in a bad way. It's just I've spoken on some of the same topics in my inner circle and on some of the YouTube videos I've been on under my real name, but Joseph Brandt is obviously not my real name, but he is somebody I admire, even though a lot of people have mixed feelings on him. But anyway, if you want to get to know me better, we can try to... You can add me on PSN. I've got a friend request, and I don't mind friend requests from strangers, but say who you are. I'm not just going to be like, yeah! Like, no, I don't roll like that. That might be how you roll, but I don't roll like that. If I don't know you, you gotta give me a good reason why I should know you.
Come on, boy.
I'm introverted. I'm not afraid to talk to people in public and in groups, but the thing with introverts, we're not antisocial. I mean, I am antisocial for other reasons. I think most people are too stupid to talk to. And it's true. When you listen to what they talk about, it's always materialistic or shallow bullshit. There's no real world issues. There's nothing of substance. And then when you look at the music they listen to, I mean, Andrew Tate is not wrong that we're a failed society, and I think part of it is the phones. It has dumbed everybody down, and I'll give you an example of why. If you lived in the 90s and the early 2000s before everyone had cell phones, you remembered people's number by heart, or you wrote it down in a phone book. Now that everyone's got cell phones, nobody remembers anymore. So what I do, this is, and I hope you all do this. I hope everybody that's listening here does this. Even if I have a number that I already have in my phone, I physically dial out the number anyway, so that it becomes muscle memory. They are trying to make us stupider with these fucking phones, and it's working. I'm proof of that. It worked on me. Now, I'm not saying cell phones, especially smartphones, don't have their uses, but they are dumbing us down. You're supposed to use technology, don't let it use you.
Mrs. Londonderry.
Arthur's dead.
I know. I'm sorry for it. It's just... we lent Arthur some money, you see, and...
So it was you. You son of a bitch. What do you want now? You want my boy's shoes? You want the food out of our bellies? What little there is? You want me to lie down for you?
No!
Giggity. Why not? Arthur hasn't had any punani this whole game. No, I'm just fucking with you guys.
No.
Arthur gave everything to pay your bills. Everything.
That boy needs some
And
shampoo
now there's some fellas coming to take the
or
house.
some pomade.
There ain't nothing left, mister.
Orale, I'll give you some... Absolve the debt and give money.
I just wanted to say the debt's canceled, and here, take this. It won't bring your husband back, I know. You need money, and I don't.
Well, you're a good man. I just wish you'd done it before he worked himself into the grave.
Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't have done that
But, you know,
with some people if you can
Maybe
absolve
you and your
debts.
friend that lent him the money could do things differently, like not threaten a man. Excuse me.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
You can see in his eyes he actually is. I can see it. He's not a real character, but you can tell. I think that's why so many people love Arthur, is he feels very real.
Alright, boy.
Go confront Leopold Strauss. Oh, you know what? I am trying to go for a high honor ending, don't get me wrong, but this means that the cutscene that's going to happen with Strauss, because my honor is currently low, because I've been a bad Yeah, it's gonna be a different cutscene. I kind of like the Bad Arthur cutscene with Strauss better. I don't know why. Yeah, but okay. Yeah, if I give Arthur any tobacco, it's not gonna be cigars or cigarettes anymore because of his tuberculosis. You know, I knew somebody that had tuberculosis when I was a kid. I'll say his name right now. Dominique Hall. Not him, his mother had it. And she lived. You know, they're from the Blackfoot Nation, and when we were living at a motel in Seattle called the Close Inn with a K. Look that up sometime. K-L-O-S-E-I-N-N. Well, it's got a very old school sign, and anyway, his mom had tuberculosis, so my mom was always like, you gotta be kind of careful around her, especially if she coughs, and I always wondered how he was around his own mom without getting it himself. So obviously nowadays, with modern medicine, you can live with it, but back in the day, especially if you're a Blackfoot woman, Pikuni, you get tuberculosis, you're more than fucked. I mean, Arthur's pretty much fucked because there's no cure for it. I mean, if he could go to somewhere, they're right about hot weather being better for it. Some examples, that's kind of why Doc Holliday spent his last days in, I believe, Arizona. Somewhere hot. Or even like, you guys know, if you know who Malcolm X is, then you know who Elijah Muhammad is, the guy that more or less helped him get out of jail and then betrayed him. He had, I believe, some kind of disease like that, and he was moving out west in the hot to get away from, because that's what helps. So, if Arthur just could get away from Dutch and go west, he might have a chance to not survive, but live longer, kind of like cancer.
Mr. Morgan?
Just Danny. Just get up.
What?
Get up!
What is wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Nothing at all.
What are you doing?
Getting ready, you time-wasting maggot. Get your bag.
I don't
There you go.
understand.
Just get out of my sight. You waste my time, you depress me, and you're a parasite, sending me after losers like that. I should do. You're an embarrassment.
What are you doing? We were partners. Business partners.
Go get a new partner.
You know, they say the sick delude themselves. I was your comrade.
My comrade, you're a creep. A creep and a parasite and a time waster. Now, take that. Take that, and don't annoy me.
I'm
Leaving.
Alright. God damn. Well, it figures that my bounty would be highest in the last camp that we're going to be in the game. Because it is Chapter 6. After this is the epilogue. Okay. Alright, I might want to just fast travel somewhere, but I'm not sure where yet. Oh, you know what? I need to go see this guy. Let's go see Marko Dravic. So anyway, back to Andrew Tate. And I'll try to wrap this up quickly, but I want to cover all the best, you know, things about who he is and my own thoughts on it. So, I don't have an issue with what they say, like, okay, let's say you ask a woman out and you shit the bed, you know, either she rejects you, maybe you give her your number, because a lot of people suggest that nowadays, like, give her your number first instead of her giving you hers, because a lot of women are paranoid these days. But the thing is, if you give them your number, but she doesn't give you yours, that's also not really going to work, because women don't like to be the ones that text first. It's this whole thing. But you know what? With men, and I believe this, like, you got to be the one that asks her out most times. It's nice when they do it, but most of them don't have the courage to do it. And one thing I agree with Tristan Tate in particular about is it's like, okay, we're all incels until we're not, till we lose weight. I mean, not lose weight. So we lose our V card. But it's just a word that women use to try to subjugate. I'm not saying it's not equivalent to a racial slur per se, but they're trying to make it have this. Maybe it could be so, though, because in the way that it damages the self-esteems of especially like Gen Z men, because I was surprised, as many simps as there are in Gen Z, there's also, most of his fans are Gen Z dudes, and I'm a millennial. If you guys don't know what the cutoff point really is, so for a millennial, it's like when the start of AIDS happened to just before 9/11, that time era. So that's my era. Gen Z, they're the people that either were born just a few years before 9/11 themselves, but they didn't grow up in any part of the 90s. Like, I've met people that grew up in New York, the New York, New Jersey area, and they've said they have no memory of 9/11 because it was 2 years, they were 2 years old. So I was 9 when that shit happened. So, and no, I don't believe the official story. If people want to hear what my official stance on 9/11 is, I'll tell them sometime, but I'm not going to bring it up willy-nilly. I'm not just going to be like Alex Jones and just start ranting about political shit. But it's not a bad idea to, if you're going to look up to a man, this is all I'm saying. If you're going to let somebody teach you about self-esteem, and some dudes need that, because a lot of dudes grew up without their father more and more nowadays. Like, I grew up kind of that way. I'm not going to get into the reasons why right now, but you need that void, because most criminals in prison that do violent crimes or any kind of crime, you look into it, their dads weren't around most times. So it's like, if men are so insignificant and unimportant, why is there statistical evidence, like actually verifiable data, that shows that you're more likely to be a criminal if you're the son of a single mom? And I know, and for whatever reason, young boys it's harder on young boys than girls with that circumstance. But the problem is, I don't think he has any real solution beyond materialism and just, oh, top G, Bugatti. He's a fucking broken record. I would like to see more native men applying ourselves and being kind of like him. And I think the rapper Gary Davis, aka Lightfoot, is a good example of that. He's a venture capitalist and he made millions.
If you are here to rob me, I wish to make clear that I have weapons that could liquefy each of your internal organs.
Dude, I wouldn't dream of robbing Nikola Tesla.
Just a puddle on the floor.
Professor, I ain't here to rob you. It's me. I helped you at the pond.
You did. Oh, you did. The buffoon. Hello.
Hello.
I hope I'm not disturbing you.
It's funny because he has the same accent as Nico Bellic, and a lot of people think in GTA 4 Nico is from Russia, but he's not. He's Serbian. They're speaking Serbian.
Get the bloody conductor straight.
Serbians are interesting. They're an interesting culture. The whole Bosnian thing. And a lot of that was over just not just ethnic strife, but it was also religion.
Maybe I solved it, but can't get it right.
I don't understand.
Of course you don't. Help me adjust these things and I will show you what I mean. Here, take this.
Oh, well, I'm not much of a scientist.
Yeah, well, you are an American. Science is far beyond you, but you make a fine buffoon. Go.
You have the detector in your hand.
I remember this being kind of a fun one.
Point at the location for
But okay, I'll tell you. You know what? Now that I remembered some cons of Andrew Tate, the shit he said about the anime community. Man, it's raining like it's Seattle. God damn. I heard Scotland itself is pretty rainy too. Like very hilly and very rainy. Okay. All in the name of science, right? But, you know, I love Dragon Ball Z, man. I look up to Vegeta. A lot of times, there were some ways my father reminded me of him. It's because we both come from warrior cultures. So my mom's white, my dad was native. He's been dead since 2016. Like in his more positive ways, I could see him as like Vegeta. You know, he was a badass in his own right. But for Andrew Tate to just be like, if you're older than 15 and you like anime, you're a loser, and that women don't respect you. My thinking on that is like, hold on. First off, anime was invented in Japan, and yeah, they don't like it that's... A lot of them don't like it over there that's the only perception the West has of them. But they are... Put it this way. If hip-hop as a whole is an art form that mainly blacks and Puerto Ricans came up with in the Bronx and Brooklyn, then you could say that anime is definitively Japanese. That's their thing. That's their major contribution to the world. And Dragon Ball Z, in my opinion, is the best there is. So it's like he's talking about, and I know that Naruto fans, who I don't really care about, they don't think DBZ's top. But Andrew Tate mentioned it, and he's like, oh, you're a loser and girls don't respect you. Like, there's not women themselves that like anime. There are plenty, and a lot of them are Japanese in Japan, like their original origin place, but you got a lot of weeaboos here. For those that don't know what a weeaboo is, if you haven't seen Filthy Frank, it's basically a non-Japanese person that thinks they're Japanese or wants to be Japanese just because they watch too much anime. They might dye their hair like an anime character or dress like an anime character. It's pretty cringy. But why does he care? Because honestly, as much shit as he might talk about that, Akira Toriyama is more successful than Andrew Tate is. I'm pretty sure he is. And he didn't have to do all that boasting about it and being a flashy motherfucker. Let me tell you something, and this is not a conspiracy theory, this is just an observation at this point. But like, you know how a lot of people say that the Jews run the banks and they have the most wealth and influence in the world? That's actually true. Despite being like 5% of the world's population, they're like more than half of the billionaires. You can't tell me that banking didn't play a part in that, and usury. And anyone who points this out gets accused of anti-Semitism, but it's the truth. I'm not afraid to tell the truth. I don't care what people think. You know, facts over feelings. But if you're going to look up to a man that will stand up to the modern gynocentric system without necessarily shitting on women, like all women. I'm not shitting on all women. I've just divested from American women. Any woman that grew up in an English-speaking country, I know what the values are going to be like, and they're going to be postmodernist, and I'm not down with that. But I don't hate all women. I still love women from Latin America. They still respect traditional gender roles down there. Oh yeah, I think this was supposed to happen. I wonder what it'd be like to not get struck by lightning, but to have lightning almost get you. I actually have a story my grandma told me once about lightning. It wasn't lightning, but it was an electrocution story. So give me a minute and I'll tell you about that too, once I get off this Andrew Tate shit. But, you know, it's good to push yourself physically to the limit too, the way that they do, and they're both athletes. Men need to do something different, because this country has an obesity epidemic, and I tell you, a lot of women now may like the dad bods. I've had women that have been attracted to me, and I've got a dad bod. Every time I've been laid, I had a dad bod, but I'm tired of having a fucking dad bod. And it doesn't matter. It's good on one hand that women are starting to appreciate chubby men the way we've been appreciating the chunky women for a while. If you like curves, you love chunky women. I like the fat girls that have pretty faces, personally. That's usually my type. Not too fat, but just still sort of fat, you know? But I'm gonna still probably like that even when I get in shape, but the problem with an alpha male as opposed to a sigma male, and let's say I give Andrew Tate the benefit of the doubt, he's an alpha male. A lot of people are like, oh, he's not an alpha, he just pretends to be. And I agree that people that claim they are, it's like when a woman says, oh, I'm a strong, independent woman. It's like, if you have to say it, you're probably insecure. And aren't.
Wonderful.
But the problem is, even if he is an alpha male, alpha males care too much, not only about what women think about them, beyond the need to,
Now, I become the second
and
after
with other men, it's like they like to control other men's lives. It's like, I've succeeded by doing this, this, and this, so you gotta do this, this, and this. What I appreciate about Andrew Tate is that he says the methods that he uses are not necessarily going to work for everybody, and that's true. You have to find your own style. Every woman is different, just like every man is different, but they do tend to go into groupthink more.
Go quick, please.
Jordan Peterson overall is a better person to listen to, so that's my final verdict on Andrew Tate. But the other thing is, getting back to his charges, whether or not he did them, we'll see. I'm going to let the evidence present itself, and I'm going to pay attention to the trial. There's a couple of celebrities that are on certain trials that I'm always checking the Google News to see what happens rather than images or just the search bar. I look at the news, and they're still being held. And people will be like, oh, if he's not guilty, why is he in jail? It's like, people, this shit happens to people all the time. You do get swatted sometimes. Okay. But he's...
Just tell me what goddamn one of these things to pull.
Okay, then that means I should probably do this one.
You better hope I ain't fried up here.
Came close. You know, a lot of Arthur's story is sad, but you can't say he hasn't lived an interesting life. Like, we know that Jack at some point will become an author in the future. He loves reading, and there's an Easter egg in GTA 5 that alludes to it, kind of. It's like, if he wrote a book about his events in the first game, through maybe his father's journals and then his own, and he just put the pieces together, he could do a story about this if he looked at all the other stuff. I'll go into that more when we get into the epilogue. There he is. The bright bouncing boy. He's a proto-Terminator.
He lives! My son lives!
It's such a wacky concept.
It is life itself. Morons who doubted me. It is me and you.
But at the end of the day, I'm not pro Andrew Tate. I don't have to like him per se. He's still a passport bro, and I'm not cool with passport bros. But
Is that it?
For now.
like I said, broken clock, right twice a day. Jordan Peterson, what I like about him compared to Andrew Tate is he doesn't feel the need to make a big spectacle. He does yell sometimes, but he generally relies on logic, not
I am
spectacles.
the luckiest man alive. Those morons, they doubted me.
What I'm saying, though, about Andrew Tate, and I know I've spent a long time talking about it in this gameplay, so I'm sorry if this annoys anybody, but this is mainly for my friends, especially the ones that want to know about what I think about him, whether I lean toward anti or pro him. And I say it's not that simple. Because my point is, if he was innocent, would any of you who believe he's guilty believe he was innocent? That's my only point here. You think that you're being fair and impartial, but you're not. Your mind is already made up that you think he's innocent or guilty based on whether or not you like what he had to say personally about women. And okay, yeah, he has made some videos where he talked about, like, keeping your pimp hand strong, his words, not mine. And I'm paraphrasing even that. I don't respect pimps. I'm in a neighborhood right now, actually, that has a lot of prostitution going on. I don't respect the pimps, hookers, or johns. And no, I'm not going to call them a sex worker either, because I've worked with, and I've also organized with Dairy Gold farm workers back in 2011. And the thing about that is, I never see hookers doing any unionizing. I mean, the closest thing you got to legal prostitution is either pornography, which is also detrimental to men, probably more so than women. Not only because it makes you a masturbating loser who should be on NoFap, but it also makes you... What the fuck? I'm gonna kill that. Bad kitty. Oh, this cat's gonna fuck me up. Yep. That's my point. Whether he's guilty or not. Okay, and I'll extend it to his fans. If he was guilty, would any of you actually admit to it? That's what I want to know. Because I've got friends that are Michael Jackson fans or Kobe Bryant fans, and I don't like Kobe Bryant. Michael Jackson's music was okay. I don't believe he's guilty of pedophilia. However, I would not have left my kids alone with him strictly on the hanging his own baby out of the window thing. I don't care what kind of medications he's on or what he went through. Like, if he'll do that with his own kid, he'll do that with someone else. So I wouldn't say Michael Jackson's a pedophile. I think there's enough evidence to suggest that that wasn't legit, but what it is he is... Oh, that's Charlotte, I think. Yeah. Or whatever her name is. So I can think Michael Jackson is innocent of pedophilia without necessarily thinking he's that great of a parent, because he's honestly not. I mean, he was good to his kids as he could be, but the dude had a lot of issues, a lot of self-esteem issues from childhood, and if you've got a good dad, or no, if you don't have a good dad, which he didn't, it can be hard to be a good one yourself. I'm gonna get revenge on that fucking cougar. I'm gonna pretend that's the same goddamn cougar. Come here, you little motherfucker. Seriously? No, I wanted a good cougar pelt too, but this guy was aggressive. because I just killed a cougar successfully this time, I'm the right man for the job at showing Charlotte how to live. Alright. Of course it's a poor cougar pelt. Dude, I fucking got attacked, and I just had to shoot out of panic. I should have, studied the animal for... Ooh, I like how realistic that is. Look at that. He's not just bleeding, he's got the scratches. I wonder if... So they would mark on at camp if you have blood on you. Understandably so. But I wonder if they do the same... What the fuck is that?
Here we go.
Oh, it's a moose. I think we're in legendary animal territory. Okay, fuck me. I need my horse. If I'm gonna hunt a legendary animal, I need my horse. And I'll try to keep shit quiet, but... So that's my point. You know, I can believe someone's innocent or guilty and still separate it from other things that they do. And all I'm saying with Andrew Tate and his brother is, you know, he looks like the type that probably would be a pimp, but again, I don't know. And that's the thing that people, whether they're on his side or not on his side, and you can call me a fence rider all you want, but the thing is, this shit ultimately, on a personal level, has nothing to do with me. And, but, if it is true, they turn out to be bigger losers than anime fans or anyone they've shit on. Including what Tristan said about pot smokers. So it's like, if it is true what they did, then they're the biggest losers, because you're not getting out of there if that's the case.
Where'd you go?
That's what you said.
You alright there?
Who are you?
Oh, it's okay, ma'am.
I'm a man who got scratched up by a very big kitty.
Well, it makes no difference now.
A very angry kitty.
No.
Very hungry kitty.
You get away from me.
Oh, I know why. It's because of my fucking honor. I get it. Shit. I shouldn't have approached her while my honor is still low. God damn it. Let me see if I can reload this bullshit. God damn it. Let's do that. There we go. Alright, so by the time this gets to the game, I'm going to just wrap up what I'm saying about Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate. There's nothing wrong with pushing men to get richer, or to get in physical shape, to learn to stop simping, discouraging pornography, discouraging men from supporting so-called sex workers, because it doesn't benefit you, it only benefits women. Simp culture does not benefit men. You might occasionally get tossed some pussy, but that's not how it usually works. And oh, they're gonna be like, oh, you're sexist referring to women as pussy. Like, you don't refer to men as dick. I need some dick. Come on. Can't take serious about snowflake culture, so my circle of friends is not as big as other people. I got maybe 40 friends, and that's on Facebook and outside of it. But with most people, you look at their Facebook, they got hundreds or thousands of friends, but you don't know that they're really a friend, you know? I want to do that mission with that Charles dude, but I gotta get my honor up before I talk to what's-her-fuck. No! I gotta do this fucking bullshit again. I thought I threw that asshole out. God damn it. I gotta do that stupid fucking army thing again. Alright, well, at least this time I can talk about something different from Tate. But yeah, I mean, to wrap up what I was saying, there are plenty of female anime fans. There are women that have done anime. I mean, how can you say women don't respect you when... Oh, you know what? I'm gonna use a prime example to prove that they're wrong about this. The woman who wrote the Sailor Moon series is married to the guy who made the Yu Yu Hakusho series. So even though some Japanese might not like anime because it gets overhyped and they don't like that being what's associated with their country, they're not only, which I understand. There are female anime writers. It's an anime-friendly country, so... Andrew Tate speaks on masculinity, and he acts like he understands what different countries... Like, he knows, like, in Romania, I think he said it was Romania, like, women are... fully grown women are expected to be home at a certain curfew. You know what's actually funny? My first girlfriend, she was Hawaiian, Samoan, both. And I was 23 when we broke up for the last time. Yeah, we were on again, off again. But she was 26, I was 23, and I guess their culture is patrilineal, which I don't mind, but it's like, when you're a dude from a matriarchal culture and a woman from a patriarchal culture, it's like a weird canceling out kind of thing. And she was Christian at that point, and I wasn't anymore. But yeah, even though we fucked plenty of times and we loved each other and we were together for 3 years, I count even the times we were off because I look at that like it's just a fight, you know? Separation. Kind of like married people get separated all the time. And they either fuck around or they don't. These days, I'm putting my money on them fucking around. But my point is, I guess that's just a thing in her culture, but then it only goes so far because they try not to eat pork in her particular family because they're Seventh-day Adventists, and they're one of the few churches that still adheres to the not eating pork thing because they have a different interpretation on the New Testament than other churches. So the thing of that is, by doing that though, in Hawaii they have luau's and they roast a pig, so it's like you're essentially turning your back on your culture. Now, we didn't have pigs in mainland North America before colonization, but they did in the Polynesian Islands. So, I definitely know what he means about that there are some women who do the curfew thing, and I'm ashamed to say this, but it is what it is, and I'm ashamed and I'm not ashamed, but she never slept over. Like, we had sex, we did all the traditional couple stuff for the most part, but her dad had her so under her thumb, it was just, I don't know. So I understand what he means about the whole 10 o'clock thing. For her, it was 6 o'clock. And I didn't understand it, but that's the thing with cultural relativism. And you also have to factor in religion a little bit too, but like, he acts like he understands these things about the differences in countries, but then he also speaks on manhood like it's universally the same everywhere. And that's just not the case. It never has been, and it never will be. Alright, let's find Winter Goose again. I think that's a funny name for him. Whatever the people of his wife comes from, whatever nation she is, the name that they gave him is Winter Goose, and I think it's because he's white. It's just kind of funny. Fucking dances with wolves, motherfucker. And by that I mean, you know, Kevin Costner.
You borrowed money off of Leopold Strauss. The bills come due.
Strauss is getting his ass kicked out of the gang pretty soon.
This ain't the best time for anyone.
I don't have to watch that cutscene. I don't even have to watch this cutscene. Fuck it. Let's get to it. If I've already seen it, let's do it. You've already seen it. I mean, it's good that that guy knows to keep a pregnant woman out of the fight, but in some tribes, if it's desperate enough, a pregnant woman will be fighting too. Like, we've all heard stories about Geronimo, but there's this warrior woman he used to ride with, and her brother was a great war chief. Her name was Lozin, and she was a medicine woman and a warrior. And one time, when like 700 soldiers went by, and this is when her brother got killed in battle in a fight with both the Mexican army and the U.S. army, while a bunch of U.S. soldiers rode by, she had to help an Apache woman that was in labor give birth in fucking silence. That is tough. Could you see any woman today, whether they have a natural birth or drugs, you know, to kill the pain, could you see any woman doing that? And here's the crazy thing. I mentioned the Shawnees earlier, Tecumseh's tribe. Sadly, they're a much smaller tribe than they used to be. We've kind of gotten somewhat of our numbers back, starting to grow back after the genocide, but they didn't. They're still working on it, but interesting thing about them is, what was I saying? Tecumseh and the Shawnees. Give me a second.
We could probably still save something.
Really now?
Look, you can take this silver locket for the job.
Yeah, I will.
Go. Get her somewhere.
Something to do with the Shawnees, I'll remember. Just
Thank
give
you,
me a
fella.
minute.
I don't know where we can go, but...
Alright, here we go.
Okay, boy. Yep. Yeah.
I know I'm reaching a point with that somewhere. And you know, they don't know much about our history. Like, for example, if you watch the documentary Rumble, The Indians Who Rocked the World, you find out that natives had a huge founding in rock and roll, jazz, and blues. And a lot of the people that they said were just black, like in Mississippi area, some of them had native blood like Choctaw. Like Charles Patton, if you ask me, he looks more native than black. And when, you know, when they talk about the general roots of blues, it really does come from the Mississippi area, but also North Carolina. But as far as the Mississippi area is concerned, that's Choctaw influence, and then North Carolina, you got the Tuscaroras. They're actually Iroquois too. They joined our Confederacy in 1722, but they're also of Iroquois descent. Okay, some cocaine gum. No, he needs some tobacco. My bad.
Come on.
Alright, so... Oh, God, I'm trying to remember what the fuck I was saying. It had something to do with the Tecumseh and the Shawnee. I just can't remember. Yeah, let's get this shit out of the way, too. Annoying fucking mission. At least I can skip it.
Help me!
No. No, because I've fallen for that before. People have stolen my horse after being like, help me. And that might not have been the case there, but I'm not taking the chance. Usually it's a redneck that does that. I've never... I don't know.
Come on.
Now, I'm sure some of you who don't know me that are watching this probably wonder where I lean politically. I don't like the left or the right, but I've lived in a mostly blue county and blue state for most of my life, and a lot of the shit that I've gone through poverty. I've lived in the ghetto before. Living in a motel, trying to make ends meet. I used to live on TV dinners that were like $1, and I would get. They have soda. So, like here in Washington, there's a Safeway. I don't know what it is outside the West Coast, but there's Safeways here, and we got the Kroger brand too. But they were they used to have vending machines out front, and I would use 25 cents, 50 cents, 75, how much they would cost over the years, and 3 cans of those, and then, you know, maybe 2 $1 dinners. That was enough. But a lot of the shit that me and my mom growing up didn't have, her having to struggle with single motherhood, before single motherhood was really a common thing, I blame it on the left, you know? I'm not saying that Republicans are perfect, but the thing of it is a lot of them are old, and they're gonna die. And they have a hard time having young blood, so it's like with Republicans, they might have the guns, but I'm pretty friendly with guns myself. That's probably another reason I don't like Democrats, but also I just know that anytime we've turned our guns over to the government in history, it's ended in disaster. Hell, that's what was happening at Wounded Knee. But my people are smart. We know not to get rid of the guns, not all of them. We just upgraded from bows and arrows and, you know, those shitty old American Revolution and 1812 guns to AK-47s. If you want to see a good documentary on my people, check out 270 Years of Resistance, Gana Satake. It shows that you can beat a logistically and numerically superior force using asymmetrical warfare. It started out as a protest, but turned into a 90-day armed standoff. So I would say that's war. If both sides had assault rifles and there was deaths on both sides, it was war. But that conflict was over rich French Canadians wanting to build a golf course on a Mohawk burial ground, and us basically saying no. Back in 1990. Pretty petty, huh? The shit that they like to do out there in Canada. Like, people think Canada is less racist than the United States. It's not. Maybe it is towards, like, Asians and blacks and Middle Easterns, but if you're First Nations, they still call you shit like chug. You know, so... Alright, here we go. I needed more arrows for a while. Damn, less than $1,000 bucks. Oh, I think that's a stranger mission dude that'll let me buy a gun if I want.
It's you, my friend.
Yep. Horseshit. You know, that's why that's another slur for rednecks. Shit kicker.
I was just telling my friend here about how
But back then, everybody was a shit kicker if they had a horse, if you accidentally stepped in shit.
Gunsmith's friend. Pick out what you want, I'll pick up the tab. It's Jenkins.
Ooh, yes indeed.
Anything for you, buddy. Anything.
You are nothing if not generous.
So, as much as it's fun to be a homicidal maniac in this game, just like GTA, there is really some rewards for doing good stuff too, so... I don't need to use this stagecoach. Fuck the stagecoach.
Hey, friend.
It's not even that convenient.
Man in town named Jenkins owes me. Said I could put something on his tab.
Jenkins, huh? All right. Take a look around.
Question is, what do I want that I don't have? See, some of the stuff that I want isn't available yet. Okay. So let's see if there's any kind of shotgun I would want that... okay, I can't even get the better sniper rifle, man. pretty sure I got all the best handguns. Guess I could look at repeaters, but... Is the Lancaster supposed to be a Winchester? That's what I want to know. Guess they didn't have the rights to it. But I'm pretty sure Schofields are real guns, though. Alright, fuck this place. Let's just go. I don't know what I want, dude. What do I need, really? Fuck it, let's just get that.
You have a good day now.
Whatever. It's still less cents that I had to spend on it, so... Yeah. Sometimes good deeds go rewarded. Just depends on the gratitude of the person.
How do you do?
So, yeah.
Excuse me.
Hope you're about finished with those antics. We got enough problems around here.
Just minding my own business, I promise you. Mr. Sheriff.
Hello.
Hey, they're not trying to kill me. That's at least a relief. I'll take what I can get. I don't gotta mouth off to everybody. I am looking forward to doing a gameplay for a different game, though. I just haven't decided if I wanted to return to Fallen Order or try to get this Resident Evil universe thing downloaded. I don't really want to return to Resident Evil 8 right now, but... Oops, I'm sorry. Oh, fucking damn it. How does a shove warrant being shot at? That's what I want to know. This is bullshit. Fuck these hillbillies, they're not catching me. Come on, hurry up, Tornado. While we're still young. God damn it, my horse should have beaten me before. Should have beaten these fools back to me. Now I got a fucking bigger bounty on myself, and it's gonna be as steep as the Lemoyne bounty. But they're gonna be on my ass more for a while. I didn't mean to bump into the fucking guard. It was an accident. That's what I kind of hate about the controls in this game. Rockstar... You know, I love Rockstar in terms of storytelling, but when it comes to their controls, they need to work on it. And I have a thought about that with Grand Theft Auto 4. You know how people always complained about the driving in Grand Theft Auto 4 because the cars are too heavy? It's like, I'm sorry, but that's realistic. You get one of those old school cars, like a Chevrolet, that looks like it could be a lowrider if you're on the West Coast. Those cars are heavy and they're old school, so they shouldn't just... You shouldn't just be able to do what you do in GTA 5. The handling of cars in GTA 5 was what was ridiculous, and the cops were worse. What I did like, though, is as liberal as California is, and their gun laws fucking suck, and I know they suck because the last time I checked, it could be different now, but the last time I checked, when I was looking at different states' gun laws, they were the only state I saw that did not allow for some form of legal suppressor on your firearm. So I don't respect them for that. But as much as the left has been the ones keeping California so anti-gun, look at the fuck you do? Oh, it's the Murphys. Their name is so stupid. I'm gonna kill all of you. I don't care. I'm a devil on horseback. I know. That's why I came to kill you. knock you off with a wig shot. But yeah, GTA does need to, Rockstar needs to work on the handling. And they need to give us more single-player content for Red Dead, but they don't want to do that. They got a grudge against it, so instead they keep making shitty GTA Online games. Like, GTA 4 is the game that's more replayable, and then people are fucking around with GTA 5 like it's even a good game, and it's not. It's really not. Oh yeah, this is a funny mission. God.
Look out! Just what I need.
Well, let me... Well, I doubt I can catch her.
If you got a problem, then you best spit it out.
No, I'm getting the wanted poster, you fucking... Is there any way to find her, I wonder?
Face got a skin condition or something? Was that worth it? Taking it real easy there, huh? No, that's it.
I didn't do shit. This guy was being an asshole. And I called him out, and now he wants to attack me? Fuck that, I'm gonna kill him. Bitch. Give me your money, too. Fuck you. Probably harassing people the... Yeah, come after me who just did the... I just made the neighborhood better by getting rid of a fucking vagrant hanging in front of a store who's bothering customers as they go in. Just like that happens now. You know, I know the people, the Osaroni likes to think that our people were savages, but at least we didn't have homelessness before 1492. Now, you might not have liked our dwellings. A lot of tribes lived in what they call teepees. My people lived in longhouses. We lived in wigwams when we were on the move and shit, and we were moving villages, and you needed temporary housing. But even the Lakota who lived in teepees, their more permanent residents were these little earth houses that they built inside hills. I think it was inside of hills. That was their preferred stuff, but they moved around a lot. They moved with the buffalo. We moved according to, you know, the seasons in agriculture, you know, that kind of thing. And not exhausting the soil. Now, the interesting thing I will say on the subject of, I'm off Andrew Tate now, but on the subject of patriarchy and matriarchy, when the Lakota Sioux and all these tribes, the most hyped up tribe in Hollywood by anyone, right? It's to a point where it's annoying because, like, I know that some in Hollywood that are more progressive, some, very few, are trying to make more native movies, but it's like, every time it feels like it's always about the Lakota. And part of that is the whole Wild West experience with Buffalo Bill and all those people, and Sitting Bull appeared at some of those shows, and some of the actual fighters from the Battle of Little Bighorn showed up too. So they were actually in, you know, you think of Hollywood where you got all these white and Italian dudes and Jewish dudes portraying natives, and Mexican Americans too. They're portraying Mexicans. Like, I saw Marlon Brando play Emiliano Zapata. It was ridiculous. But progressive as he was for that Godfather thing, and with Sachin Littlefeather, and, you know, Clint Eastwood is a dick. But back in those days, they actually did have, when it was closer to the beginning of the Wild West era with the moving pictures, the cameras, all that, you had some veterans of the Battle of Little Bighorn appearing as warriors in a like a movie about it. I gotta get my hands on some of it because some of these footages are lost to time, but maybe I can't, but well, you never know. Anyway, my point is, That battle was hyped up, but ultimately Custer and all of his men, that was like 206 casualties. And it's impressive for Western tribes, but east of the Mississippi, as far as the tribes that are warriors are concerned, that's not much of a battle. That would be considered a small battle east of the Mississippi, because you have to understand, we got tribes like Mohawk, Cayuga, Seneca, Onondaga, Tuscarora, Oneida. Those are the 6 nations. And then you got the Cherokees. They were badass in their time. Even though they were Southern Iroquoian, we used to fight them over in Tennessee. Tennessee was like the boundary between us. But when it came to... No. You're distracting me. We have, and then you have the Seminoles, Creeks, all those people, they did more damage to the United States. Like the Shawnee, for example, also, in the Battle of what they call St. Clair's Defeat, he defeated pretty much... he destroyed a quarter of the U.S. Army. And not too many other cultures can really say that. And then my people overall, when you tally up the casualties between the American Revolution and the War of 1812, which I would say is like part 2 of the Revolution, but it was also the U.S. trying to take over parts of Canada, especially Fort Niagara. My people held off 7,000 Americans, so that, and 3,500 of them never made it back. So when you tally up the total, and if you also tally up the total of how many we killed in the French Indian Wars, American Revolution, and the fucking War of 1812, which Americans don't like talking about, but I do.
Just stay out of it.
You're about to get run over by a trolley, you dumbass. We've killed, in that era, at least 10,000 soldiers. And when you look at the Western tribes, as far as the Indian Wars go, if you look at the Army casualties... I'm going to say this real quick. Between 1866 and 1890, so the year that the Wounded Knee Massacre happened, and it was considered the last major indigenous resistance, which ended horribly. There was only 948 casualties between 1866 and 1890, and this is important, you know, because that's not that many. And the biggest chunk of that did go to the Lakotas, but I'm just saying, because these eastern tribes in the south, and as well as us up north, and then some of the more midwestern tribes fought and might have gotten conquered much earlier, but might have ultimately fought harder. We weren't, and because it was going east to west with the colonizers versus the other way around, with eastern natives you had more paintings of us, whereas in the west, like the Apaches and Lakotas, they had actual footage. So this is why western tribes are hyped up more, but there needs to be more evenness. And we should explore more Latin American native nations like the Aztec history, Mayan history, Chichimeca. The Chichimeca defeated the Aztecs and the Spaniards. I mean, who doesn't want to see a movie about that? It would be some badass shit, especially since both the Aztecs and the Chichimecas the Aztecs and the Spaniards looked down on the Chichimecas because they were still hunter-gatherers, and the Aztecs had evolved into a empire. Same with Spain. They'd both got a multi-tribal empire, which the Chichimeca, there's at least 12 of them, so it's more of a language group than a singular tribe. But the Guachichil of the Chichimeca did the most damage to the Spaniards. Look it up. Look up the Chichimeca War. They won.
Friends?
Yeah, they've had
Except for the fact that some of them converted to Catholicism as a compromise.
At least you're alive.
For now, yeah.
What happened in...
Guama?
Yeah.
Nothing nice.
You know, I thought that they would ship
happened to
Sadie before
Dutch?
with Arthur,
He
but then
seems-
people were like, oh, they seem like better friends. It's
Seems
like,
as-
yeah, but so what?
What began happening
They're both
in Blackwater
lonely. They both
began
lost
happening
people they love. They
years
should have.
ago, maybe.
Especially with the limited time
Slow
Arthur
decline,
had
I
left,
guess.
but Maybe before he cut
I ain't quite sure.
to TV, obviously. I also don't know how he hasn't infected anybody else in the
people
camp.
up as best I could after you boys left. And John, you know that part.
I do.
And Hosea.
So that too.
I am a novice, though, at this whole live on YouTube thing, and I'll be the first to admit it. So, the reason that I'm not showing my face is I actually haven't figured out how to yet. I figured out how to get this shit on YouTube by myself. But I'll admit, I'm a bit of a technophobe, and part of that was poverty and not always having up-to-date technology like the new kids did. Like, my graduation year was 2010, and that was the first year I had a computer, my senior year. Like a home desk computer, desktop.
And how do we do that?
Smartphones, I was late. I didn't have my first smartphone till 2020. It was either 2020 or 21, but I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure it was 2020. But it doesn't matter because I've had to replace a few of those phones when they got cracked or. A lot of people complain about Androids, but mine has done me pretty good. We gotta have more appreciation for this technology.
Bit of a tour. He's quite the character.
I mean, it's transferring messages to space. Just give it a minute, you know.
I'm impressed.
I hate when the Wi-Fi goes out too, but
Things up, ain't you?
Hey, we didn't know if you was even coming back. The whole thing hit folks real hard.
oh man, I lost my kitty scratches.
Karen's gone falling fully into the bottle. Strauss is a bag of nerves.
Karen's been drinking since Sean's death, though. I didn't
Watson's actually gone and cleaned up his act.
interact with the camp when it was going on, but the first night he gets back, he actually fucks Karen, and she doesn't get off because he's a quick draw McGraw.
Mr. Bullard? Mr. Bullard!
Ah, Mrs. Adler! It's good to see you. Good to see you.
This is my friend I told you about, Mr. Morgan.
Ah, yes, Arturo Bullard. At your service, sir. At your service.
Arthur Morgan.
Well, it's a nice, fresh day for flying, sir. A day like today, an Icarus would have made it across the sea. Have you ever flown before, sir?
No.
Oh, it's quite a thing. Quite a thing. Now, put these on and hop in.
Well, ain't she coming?
Well, women can't fly, sir. Are you insane?
They can't.
Oh, no, sir. It does terrible damage to them, to their vapors. I thought everyone knew about that. Why, a delicate flower like Mrs. Adler? Heavens above! Or below. Ah.
Where'd you find this guy?
I told you two would get on.
Are you sure about this?
Certain, sir. Quite certain. Mrs., let us away. Wish us luck. I've only crashed twice. Now, pull on that rope and hope for the best. Ah.
You boys have fun.
Alright, here we go. I love heights, I really do, but I've never been in a hot air balloon, so you could consider it a bucket list thing.
But I'm expecting some good wind once we're high enough.
I like being up in skyscrapers too. I went to the Space Needle once. I'm not fond of Seattle, but I really do love heights.
But on the subject of ablutions, liquids over the side. Do your utmost.
He meant taking a shit.
The situation.
I mean, really, ablution just means getting rid of something.
I had a client once who fell foul to a rotten oyster on the ascent. A decidedly harrowing experience for all involved.
Okay, this is kind of a weird and random question, but has any of you had oysters with Pringles? It's an interesting thing that I used to do because my mom did it, but when my mom was pregnant with me, my dad was feeding her like a lot of game, but also a lot of seafood and beef jerky. Like crab was the main seafood, and then there's just a lot of beef jerky. The real stuff. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that Jack Link's isn't good, but I'm talking about the homemade type, you know? Not store-bought. But yeah, we used to put oysters on Pringles, and it's a strange mixture of flavors, but you should try it. If you just try it once, like, I would recommend the barbecue Pringles or the regular kind. If you're sour cream and onions and that's your favorite kind, and that do what you want, but I mean, try it whatever way, really. But I got to keep remembering there are people in the world that like sour cream and onions, even though I don't.
Imported from Europe. Won't find more than a couple of these on this side of the pond.
So long as it works.
Maybe
I don't
he's
think
off
you
the
wouldn't be able to
front,
steer like that in those days, though. I don't know everything about hot air balloons, but
We need to be lower. There's not enough wind.
this is somewhat unrealistic. I mean, it's a game, so I can sort of forgive it. And the average person doesn't know this shit, and I'm pretty sure that Sam Hauser and Dan Hauser don't know it either.
Mrs. Adler told me you were very keen to learn the ropes. We have plenty of those.
I mean, you can't tell me this wouldn't be fun. And what if you could take a piss off the side? It would be funny if you could rain piss off the side of a fucking hot air balloon. Are you kidding me? I don't know.
How perfect is this? My mother was a keen student of the Italianate. My brother's called Baldessario, so you could say I got off late.
Look, I'm trying to concentrate here.
We're higher than the birds.
Okay, we're getting a little high now.
It's strong shit. No. There we go. But yeah, what I was saying about the dad bod, and I'll just talk about the topics themselves and not the individual now. You know, I'm a broad-shouldered guy, and I did play basketball and baseball when I was younger. I never liked football, but people try to ask me if I play football because of my stature, but I always kind of hated it. The one time I did play it, I actually did score a touchdown. And I caught the ball in the end zone without realizing I was in the end zone. So actually my touchdown was by accident. And the guys that were playing with me just saw that as more confirmation that I should be playing. But it's like, for me, for one, because it was PE in high school, it wasn't tackle. So it's not the real game. But two, it's just like, I don't like the bully culture. And I've fought a lot of football players. I just also don't like the pedestal they're put on, and at least the NBA got rid of the racist mascots. And I know that they got rid of the Redskins now, but, you know, they're still the Chicago Blackhawks, they're still the Cleveland Indians. What I don't want is for the left to try to act like they had any part of it. They're going to try and co-opt it, but I'm going to call them out and say, no, you didn't. There's been sustained protest against genocidal mascots, which I call recreational genocide. I'm not a snowflake, it's just a fact. You wouldn't put the N-word or a slur for Asians on a team name, but with us it's like, fuck them, they don't matter, they don't exist anymore. We're more populous in some states than others.
Did you know they locked up the man who wrote that in a mental asylum?
I did not, Mr. Bullard.
That's it. Try to keep us around this height.
It's a long time since I've played any GTA game where I had to fly. I don't think I have any of them anymore. For the 360 I had, you know, I still do have it somewhere, but I have GTA 5, but I just don't really like it.
Reduce the altitude.
Like, I liked it the first time I played it, but then upon replaying it, the game was just like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
That's the infamous.
It's just it's nothing but a parody of millennial culture. It's like, okay, that's great, but I already have to deal with motherfuckers that act like Jimmy DeSanta or Tracy DeSanta all the time, so it's not funny to me. It's like, ooh, Jimmy teabagged a teammate after killing him because he's a gamer. It's like, and I'm supposed to applaud at that shit or laugh. It's not funny. Everyone's got different senses of humor, but everyone that was supposed to be funny in Grand Theft Auto 5 was not funny to me. Except for Trevor.
I'm just looking for a friend of mine.
A friend?
Poor bastard has.
And I kind of hate how in every Grand Theft Auto game that's in LS, you always are on the side of the families. Why can't we be a Baller or a Vago or an Azteca for once? That's what I want to know. Just saying. I don't know what GTA 6 is going to be like. I say it's a coin flip. Because I don't know that it's not going to suck. They're probably going to put some woke shit in there. It'll be interesting. They will have the first female character in a game, and there's a rumor that Eva Mendes was gonna voice her. They showed some leaked gameplay about it, and she's married to this white dude named Jason. We just know her name is Lucia, and her husband's name is Jason. And fucking...
Wind. Well, this is most unusual.
I hope Ryan Gosling is not voicing her husband. That guy annoys me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the look he always has on his face.
It isn't the easiest to control, you know.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to control it at all when you think about it.
Wouldn't you say?
No. That ain't John either.
Nope, not there.
Please hurry.
Wait, is that him? Yep, that's him.
And they see us now.
Do that, folks.
My God!
What are you doing?
They're shooting at us.
I can
Vámonos!
see
We gotta get the fuck out of here. Oh, we are way too close. It'd be interesting if we were able to... I know this isn't how we break John out, but it would be interesting if we were able to just, like, fly up, start blazing, and then bust him out that way.
The wind speed is picking up. We should stay at this altitude. It's heading north.
It would have probably worked if I sniped from the hot air balloon. I'm just considering alternative scenarios, how it could have played out different.
Alright, we're in the clear now, Mr. Bullard. You can get up.
Good Lord! My heart is pounding. I must say, the specifics of this job were not described to me at all sufficiently.
Well, it's done now.
You know, and because of what Sadie's doing, this is another way that she's like Micah. We are supposed to be busting John out of prison, and she's fucking with the O'Driscolls again.
Good Lord! Is that Mrs. Adler?
Yes, female Micah. It's like I said, I don't like how they treat, like, Micah and Bill, oh, he's an idiot when he kills so many people, but Sadie, it's like, yay, girl power. It's just so transparent. And I'll admit something else here. I was reading this thread about people who either liked or disliked Sadie. I think I mentioned it before. But they were saying how, oh, like her stands were like, you wouldn't have a problem if it was a native girl with a crossbow, but because it's a white woman with a gun, you have a problem. It's like, okay, I know there were outlaws like that. And yeah, I do buy native women fighting in war more than white women in that era, like, because there were outlaws, but there weren't really white female warriors. There's a difference. There really is, but, okay, hold on a second.
Need to adjust my feet.
Like, if they flesh her character out more and make her more than just some fucking brooding, annoying smartass that thinks she's too good to do, you know, basic chores. Like, okay, I understand she doesn't want to do dishes and chop vegetables all the time. Well, then, okay, then grab some fucking bales of hay then. Grab some bales of hay, shovel some shit, feed the horses, do something. That's... She said her husband shared the work, but... If this were Micah doing this exact same thing, Arthur would have a problem with it. So that's really my problem. It's not so much the character of Sadie, it's the double standard of Sadie. We act like she's awesome. Now, obviously, her backstory is tragic, but she's kind of an asshole. She was an asshole in 1898, and she's an asshole now. And she's an asshole in 1907. Look at... She is responsible for his death. That's her fault. None of this would have been happening if she wasn't fucking with the O'Driscolls. But nobody ever calls her an idiot. Nobody tells her she's a fuck-up. It's just like, because she got what happened to her, she gets an excuse to do whatever she wants. Even the women in this gang that have died, like Molly, have faced more accountability than Sadie. So you can't even accuse me of like specific chauvinism towards Caucasian females, because look what happened to Molly. She faced consequences for something she said. Sadie's not even facing consequences for something she did. Like, really, I mean, and maybe the thing, maybe with karma, it's like, okay, the thing that happened to her was the catalyst to make her the way she is. But look at how much she's risked our life. We were in the clear. I got him away from the prison guards that were shooting at us, and she just gets us locked into another fight with the O'Driscolls. And of course, since there's a hot air balloon, they can chase us. This is entirely Sadie's fault. Yeah, and you have a real habit of getting us into situations. At the very least, she should have had the Pinkertons on her ass. Like, people say, oh, she's not as active as the male members. Yes, she is. Maybe not towards the beginning, but towards the end, she really is.
There's more of them on the other side.
She helps fight the army.
Get behind something. This ain't over yet.
She helps rob a train later. She's done plenty of things that would justify... I mean, she wasn't a conceived of character in the first game, but... I'll speak more on Sadie when the epilogue happens. But... I think there's two things they should do with Sadie's character. And I would be in... As much as I don't like her, I would still play her as her. And this is why. A lot of people didn't like John at first, or people were just butthurt about the idea of playing as Arthur instead of John. Then they ended up liking Arthur more. I can't decide if I like Arthur or John more. I'd say John's life was less tragic than Arthur's. Or maybe equally in its own way. Because he did lose a daughter, now that I think about it. But we don't know when the daughter that they have happens. It was either, you know, maybe in the time skip that happens in this game, or just before this game, or after this game, but between this game and Red Dead 1. It's like she doesn't care who she gets killed or who gets put in danger as long as she gets to kill her O'Driscoll. She's an asshole for that. I know it's PTSD. But I attribute it fully to wokeness that she's not facing any real consequences. I know she gets injured later, but that's not... I guess that... I'm not saying she's a Mary Sue, don't get me wrong. She's not. She's only a Mary Sue in the sense of the main character and all the guys that are good like her, even though she's actually getting people in trouble. Even when we go to... When we go to intercept Colm O'Driscoll's homies, she's fucking irresponsible. Thank you very much. Nyawako-ista. That is good. At least she's as dirty as me, though. That I can appreciate.
You can't stay out of trouble for one goddamn hour.
Okay.
You got that poor bastard killed for his troubles. I kind of liked him.
This is the only...
The government. They got Colm O'Driscoll. They're gonna hang him in Saint Denis.
That's the closest Arthur comes to accountability.
He's for murder and found guilty.
Sure, no doubt he'll escape again.
No, he won't, because we're gonna make sure of it.
We have our own problems with the law, in case you ain't noticed.
Dutch will want to see him swing.
Sure, Dutch. He wouldn't even help us with Marston. And our situation is really messed up right now. You know how things is.
Bastard's gonna swing. I'm gonna make sure of it.
Closely followed by Marston.
You saw him?
Yes, fields.
At least he's yelling at her. I didn't remember him yelling at her.
Rescue him.
From a state penitentiary.
Most missions, it seems like everyone's kissing her ass. Just because she's a girl that can shoot. And she's smart enough to wear pants instead of a dress. That's what I would do if I was a woman back then. I'm not gonna lie.
So,
I would wear
that's
pants.
how we'll do it. Bust him from his work detail.
Yes.
Wait,
It's best just the two of us go.
The two of us is all there is, anyhow.
Good, because two is all we'll need. I'll get us a boat, a little one, and we'll sneak in and get him out of there. Meet me at Copperhead Landing. Thank you, Arthur.
Whatever you say, boss.
I heard that.
but still, he doesn't antagonize her as much as Micah. He's still, you know. And all I'm saying is that Grimshaw has just as much reason to shoot Sadie with a shotgun as she did Molly. If you don't like that, that's really tough shit. I'm entitled to my opinion, just like you're entitled to like her. It just so happens that, and this is the way that I'm often antisocial, I find myself disagreeing with the vast majority of people on a lot of things. And I'm okay with that. Not everyone's meant to be popular. Some people, or you just find your own crowd. That's essentially what Arthur did and Sadie did. Now don't get me wrong, where Sadie's helping John escape now and later, just, I didn't spoil anything. But the way she is, like, she's doing good, so there is potential. I like her more as a character than Rey from Star Wars. Or even, you know who the worst Mary Sue in history is? Alice from Resident Evil. That is such a dog shit movie franchise with none of the spirit of the game. Like, the closest one they got was the one with Nemesis in it, but even that... She's a Mary Sue. She was not only making the male characters look incompetent, she made the female characters who are actually more interesting than Alice. From Claire Redfield to Jill Valentine to Ada Wong, Rebecca Chambers, any one of those characters would have been more interesting than watching Alice. And it's all because Paul W.S. Anderson wants to fucking have his stupid fucking wife be a character. That's some Mary Sue shit. You're making a fan fiction character, you know, outshine the canon characters. I'd never respect that. I've got my own fan fiction and original fiction I write, but I don't do that. And I'm not so much of a dick writer that I'll sit there and, like, if I have romances in the stories I write, but I'm not gonna, if it's a fan fiction story, I'm not gonna fucking put an OC, an original character, as a love interest to a character that's in the established universe, you know? Like, let's say I made a Star Wars story. I'm not going to be like, oh, so-and-so is going to hook up with, you know, whoever. I'm not, that's stupid. Your character has to be justified first. You can't just bring your fucking new character on the scene and have them outshine the characters everybody loves. Not even feature any of the real characters in the first game, too. That's a major party foul. Arthur London. Who the fuck is it? Oh, yeah, that's... God damn it. Gotta get that stupid... hate doing these... I don't think I'm close enough, though, so... Oh, no, I am. Okay. Kind of close, relatively close.
Go. Yeah, good boy.
I'm gonna save as soon as I do it. I'm not quitting, but I'm gonna save. Gotta get Arthur's honor up. You know what I think I'm gonna do first? Now that I think about it, who just appeared? Henry Lemire. Maybe I should. No, that's still too far too. I am gonna do what's-his-face's last mission, but I think it's his last mission. But I want to do the Braithwaite shit first. Wish I was closer to camp or somewhere I could hitch a ride.
Yeah. There, boy.
But I am in bounty country.
mister.
Hit the trail.
I shouldn't be trying to be polite to a Lemoyne Raider. They're like the ballers of this game. They ain't meant to be friends. You know, it would be in... There's another KKK meeting.
Okay.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! You're goddamn right I'm an idol worshiper.
Damn hooded rogues.
I love Arthur. I'll kill all you bastards. See, to any of my friends watching this, not only did you get to hear my opinion on Andrew Tate finally in the best way I can put forward, but you also get to see me kill KKK members. I'm not letting that one get away. Hey, you want to be a ghost so bad, let's make it happen. Come here. No, seriously, that's why originally, that's why they wore sacks on their head and then later the sheets, is because... they tried to pretend that they were the ghosts of dead Confederate soldiers. Yep. That's why the sheets, if you didn't know.
Yeah, okay, boy. You're alright.
Like I said, I might not have majored in history in any teaching capacity, but I love history more than just about any other subject. Science is a pretty close second, though. It's fun. And I like learning languages, but... both my own and other languages, but the thing of it is it's, I'm not getting paid to do it, but you know, when you teach in a college or a high school, they're still going to control the curriculum of what you're going to teach and what you're allowed to teach, so there are, just like a preacher with the Bible in church, and I can speak as a former Christian, as someone who was really into it once, what was I saying? Fuck, I lost my train of thought. I hate how much that happens. Something to do with the Bible. Church. Oh yeah, now I remember. The preachers, they'll tell you all the good, feel-good verses like John 3:16 and blah blah blah. And they might cover how they say homosexuality is a sin, or fornication is a sin, or adultery is a sin, obviously, but they won't talk about the verses that condone actual rape and taking children as child brides. There are Old Testament verses that say that this is okay, and Christians go, but that's the Old Testament. Yeah, but Jesus said, I did not come to change the law to fulfill it, and you can't just be like, oh, well, because the Jews, my chosen people, didn't obey me and supposedly worshipped idols, so I'm taking away their birthright at being the chosen people, and now I'm expanding it to Christians too, so you can either be a Jew for Jesus, or you can be a Gentile, whichever. So, like, it's weird because Jews for Jesus, they're technically allowed to still celebrate the Jewish holidays as part of their heritage, but they're not considered Jews anymore by their own people because they're calling Jesus the Messiah, and Jews believe that Jesus is not the Messiah. And when I read the qualifications for what a Messiah is, according to Jews, you're right, he doesn't fit it. There's nothing about a second coming and, you know, getting killed on a cross and coming back a second time to fulfill everything. The Messiah is supposed to fulfill everything outright. And if you read the Bible, especially the part with Moses and the Pharaoh and the trick with the snakes, being able to raise people from the dead, or just doing so-called miracles, it was warned in the Old Testament that false prophets could do that, so none of that disqualifies Jesus from being a false prophet. Plus, he actually violated the Sabbath. The New Testament itself shows him violating the Sabbath in the story, and the Pharisees called him out on it. so he can't be the Messiah. He did something on the Sabbath you're not supposed to do. I gotta look it up again, what it was exactly. But he's got too many disqualifiers to be the Messiah. Plus, if you're claiming that he's a descendant through Joseph of David, they don't count adopted kids, stepkids, in genealogy. And if it's through Mary that he's a descendant of King David, it doesn't matter because Jews are not matrilineal. They have sort of been made that way with Reform Judaism, and women have taken a more vocal role in their culture. But in traditional Judaism, it's a patriarchal culture, and that's the way it is. Okay. So just like the preacher is not going to tell you all of the Bible, and even when you go to Bible studies or church, they'll have you flipping around, be like, go to Leviticus, go to, Psalms, and it's just irritating because why can't we just read the Bible straight through instead of going on your autistic need to flip to whatever scripture fits your personal narrative and your personal sermon for the day. It's not even if I was still a Christian, it's an impractical way to worship. It's just not. And then the whole standing up to sing, it's just, come on, man. I'm so glad I abandoned it.
There's the son of a bitch! Shoot to kill!
Why did you stop your fucking horse? I didn't choose to do that. I knew that they would try and ambush somewhere at the bridge, but I didn't know it would be that bridge. Okay, I guess these Malloyns want to die today. Well, you're going to die for something. Nothing at all. I hear a lot of people from different parts of the country who like to always say to us, "You lost, get over it." Well, I say the same thing to the Confederates, especially neo-Confederates, and I am by no means pro-Yankee. I'm not Stars and Stripes. I'm not a patriot. Native Americans have no reason to be patriot to the U.S. We shouldn't even call ourselves Americans. We're pre-American. American is a made-up identity. But so is this Confederate shit. I think the Lemoyne Raiders are based on the Quintrell's Raiders or something like that. But they were in Missouri, I believe. Not Louisiana. You ever want to look up some pre-Civil War history that's kind of interesting? Look up the border war between Missouri and Kansas. The Jayhawkers. It's very interesting stuff. See, I want more people in this country to know history so they stop being so fucking stupid. The only way people... Okay, I don't want to go back to what I was saying about AT, but you can't really... Kind of like he thinks you can't get a meaningful relationship until you learn to prioritize yourself, and sometimes the best way to do that is maybe to become a playboy, depending on if that's what you want, but some don't want that. Some men are monogamous as fuck. My culture in the traditional days was pretty monogamous with some exception. Men could have more than one wife, but you had to be resourceful to feed more mouths. Same with women. They could have 2 husbands, or at least 2 lovers, I should say. I don't know the specifics on the marriage, if they could have more than one husband. We were pretty free sexually, but my issue, though, is a lot of the problem with it is we had a high divorce rate. And our neighbors, the Algonquin tribes, be they Lenape, Abenaki, they were our former enemies, current friends. But they were polygamous and polyandrous. They were just polyamorous. And they had, surprisingly, they had a lower divorce rate than we did. So, it's something to think about. It doesn't really matter what part of history you're looking at, you can probably apply something to it. Like, I'll admit, when I learn about Egyptian history, sometimes I get bored or confused. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give up trying to learn about it. Just some of the upper and lower Egypt stuff confuses me because it's ass backwards there. But, and I don't understand why they buried the pharaohs in one place and then the, like they have the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. I just want to learn more about Egyptian culture, but only, I don't care so much about the agriculture because we have agriculture in our culture. But I want to learn more about, like, what are the, we know what the mummies and the pharaohs, you know, with their view of the afterlife. What happens to the peasants, I wonder, in ancient Egyptian society?
Oh, you came. You came. You finally came.
I came.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, you
Yeah,
lovely,
well,
lovely
I
man.
got a lot of endurance.
Oh, come on, let's go. We ain't
Sorry,
got
that was a dumb joke.
They killed her. They killed Miss Calhoun.
Oh, the
All
feminist
she wanted
lady.
was a better lot for women, and they killed her, those pigs.
Who killed her?
I don't know. My cousins, probably, or Beau's. Well, you met them. They're animals. Not even animals. Monsters. Monsters! If God had lost all his powers of imagination. Can you please take me to the
I don't
train
know.
station?
The biblical God you're
Bo will
talking
be
about
waiting.
seems like a monster to me.
Why couldn't he come and rescue you?
Well, if
Says
he
to
saw
pay your,
me and him
a
together,
woman should
they'd
pay her.
lynch him
No,
or
no, no. A guy
send me
who
off to
rapes a
nunna,
woman
or
only
maybe
has to
they'd
pay
lynch us both. I ain't quite sure.
her father 50 pieces of
used to
silver
love
and then he can
hanging
marry her.
folk.
That's
Where you
stupid.
heading?
Up to Boston.
They should never, like,
Good.
why take morality
Good, I
from a
like
book
you.
that has shit like that in it?
Come on. Let's go.
course.
The thing is, it's easier to tell people, it's either easier to trick people than to show them that they've been tricked. That's the frustrating thing, because I want to show people that. Hold on one second. No, she's not an otter. She's pretty and she's short. I just think she's an otter because she's playful. And she is more right, leaning to the right. One second, everybody. Okay, here. Just had to do something on my phone. But yeah, I still stand by what I said earlier.
Just get me to Rhodes Railway
If you have a
Station.
cell phone, and I don't care if it's your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, whoever, your kids, dial out their number physically, even if you have it on their phone, because you're probably going to lose your phone someday, and it helps to remember.
He goes to there every day he can. Makes up some excuse or other. I said he would see me there one day soon, and
Well.
I think you mean gods and goddesses, Willem.
I've hardly seen him since the rally. They watch me so
That's another thing. You can't really be a feminist and be Christian, or any of these Abrahamic religions, because if you read the actual books,
with Aunt Catherine and my cousins.
there's more chauvinistic shit that I could ever say in my lifetime, just in the Bible alone.
So much bloodshed.
And the
You would
Quran.
think this could be a new beginning, but everyone left alive. They're even more angry.
Maybe anger's a complicated thing to let go of.
Something
It
good
is.
has to come out of this awful.
Some people make it their entire identity.
I've been hoping.
And when you let it go, then a lot of people think, who am I? I've been angry all these years, and what is my identity besides that?
Oh, it's him. Will you ride on the train with us a little, just to the first stop?
Yes, but I am going to take the family jewels, even though it will not net me as much honor, because I have spent a lot of money helping people, trying to boost my karma.
My sweet, my best.
Got any idea what time it is?
Sorry, I do
Don't care about the lovebirds.
Take care now. Some of them jewels would do just fine.
Can you believe I just heard him? Gonna join us.
Hey there, partner.
Please, could you buy the tickets, dear Mr. Morgan? We can't chance being seen.
But it's fucking Alden. He's not gonna do
Thank
shit to you.
We'll meet you on the platform.
He's a discouraged man.
Can I have 3 tickets to Saint Denis, please, sir?
Of course. Oh, hello, sir.
Hello.
I knew he would recognize me.
Well,
Not terribly, but good to see you.
God, this guy's cousin is more of a bigger pain in the ass than my cousin. On my dad's side.
here, get on the train. Get your bags, miss. I got this.
Come here, Yankee.
With pleasure, you goddamn fool.
Does his voice sound like a Yankee to you? Because I don't hear it.
We should have done this last time.
Get on the train, Bo. Go your walk.
Next to you, you fat pig. See, I'm fat too, but I at least make an effort to lose weight. I like fat chicks, but it just doesn't look as good on dudes. We're not supposed to have titties. Come here, you fucking bra-wearing bitch. You need to wear a bra like fucking Rick Ross.
Please, get on!
Fucker. Thanks for the $2, asshole. This is actually kind of a fun mission.
Future. Almost.
All right, all done. That is quite a family you got there, son.
I know. Charming to the last. Then again, my uncle used to keep his own half-brother as a slave, so what do you expect? Good manners?
My uncle used to say things were better the way they were, when he could rape and kill with impunity, and he didn't have to work a day in his life.
Both our families. There's good people in this county, but our families bullied them and drove most of them off, whites as well as blacks, all over this silly feud.
Well, how to life.
Oh, my lord.
What? Oh, I think it's my second cousin.
What is with you with all these goddamn cousins?
I think they found out about the jewels.
All right, keep your heads down. We'll deal with this. Jewels? I knew you had some damn jewels.
They're coming from over the hill.
One second. Just handling something with my friend. Okay. Shit. Yeah, I hate when Instagram doesn't do what you want it to do. I'm trying to find a good picture here. Okay, keep going. I gotta say though, Instagram's easier to use than Facebook and all this other shit. I'm not going on TikTok for nothing. I mean, China over there, they restrict their people to like 45 minutes a day, but it's okay for Americans to do as much as we want, so it rots your brain. It literally rots your brain. I'm not trying to sound like an old man. I'm only 31. I just turned 31. And age is a state of mind, but if Zoomers want to call me old, I don't give a fuck. I call them stupid, so... And cucks, and just generally dumbasses that... I mean, they don't, like, they'll do crimes. A Zoomer will do crimes, and they'll fucking post on Instagram and social media, like, they'll incriminate themselves. It's funny. They lack that much common sense. And the difference between millennials and Zoomers when it comes to the government is we don't like it that, you know, Facebook or whatever is selling your private information, that we, you know, the government can watch you through certain things. And they're like, oh, I got nothing to hide. It's like, it doesn't matter if you got nothing to hide. That's how stupid you are. You don't realize that it's a violation of your rights and everybody else's rights. So if Generation Z is going to act like the motherfuckers that care, like they all champion, not all, but a lot of them champion like transgender stuff, but it's like, okay, you can do all that, but then you can't take a strong, hard line against censorship because you got nothing to hide. Like how much of a cuck for Uncle Sam could you possibly be? And you want to give him your left ball too? Ask not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you. Yeah, I turned it around.
All right. Take a look up front.
What will you do?
I'll figure it out.
He said, okay, Fort Riggs, that's the same fort that guy who confessed to putting natives in cages and killing some, and then you give him the whiskey and he confesses it. I think he was saying he came from Fort Riggs. That was much earlier. You know, even though Arthur's got TV right here, I know he's got to feel kind of like this is a little bit fun. He's helping them escape, and he's doing it with a train. He just seems in good spirits for this. Like he's got energy for this. And then, of course, the buffaloes always appear here, and it's like, I want to hunt them, but I'm on a mission. I guess the next mission for Sadie must really be the one with, where we break John out. So, the point I was making about the incel thing, especially if you're a guy that calls himself an incel, look, I lost my virginity at an older age than I wanted to. I was a late bloomer. But what you want to do, like, you're not an incel. Stop calling yourself that. Even if you haven't been laid, like, even if you're short, ugly, out of shape, whatever the fuck, and you don't have luck with regular women, go to a cat house. I'm sorry, but they're not going to turn you down. So, like, women can call you an incel, and they'll also look down on men that, what's the word? Patronize prostitutes. Which, some of them do it too, but it's also like, look, you guys don't really have to, it doesn't really take women that much effort to get a man. It really doesn't. They don't need that much skills to, I mean, the ones that are high value and worth being with do, but a lot of them just expect everything from nothing. They want a guy with 6 figures. They can lie and say they don't, but you gotta go off what they do, not what they say. Another thing that I don't like in this country, and it's in other countries that are, you know, westernized, they talk about, women are entitled to change their mind anytime they want. Even, like, during sex, like, she's consented earlier, but she wants you to stop. Now, yeah, you should stop. Absolutely. Consent is everything. But, if she does do that, you also have the right to kick her out of your house. And you're not a sexist for it. And fuck anybody who says that you are. Because they're not in the relationship. They're not the ones trying to have sex. And if the girl says you're sexist, be like, bitch, you wasted my time. Like, you came over here under false pretenses. Why do I have to just constantly smash the X button? Why is it slowing down like that? I don't think it really matters where we disembark anyway. Okay, I just gotta hold it down. But men who change our minds are often punished for doing it and considered wishy-washy and indecisive. That standard is never held to them, so we can't have equality if there's not also equal drawbacks, not just the perks. And one other thing I gotta say, last thing on Andrew Tate. When he was talking about like the roles stepfathers have and this and that with their, you know, dating a single mom, and I've made the mistake of dating, I'm not gonna get into it, but I've wasted time with a single mom before, and I didn't meet the kid, but she told me a lot about him. But the thing of it is, like,
why have we stopped?
It's best you
maybe
go
these
on
men,
alone.
and I know I didn't at the time, don't think we can do better than that.
But
Because,
if I'm honest,
and it's interesting because this girl had said that she doesn't date single dads because her son is well behaved because of her, but that the kids aren't from the dads she's dated. But it's just like, so you're just assuming
Yes, you are.
that every dad that's a
I
single
ain't got
dad is
much
gonna
money,
not
but
do it, is a weekend
Sapphire's
dad
worth a lot of
basically.
money.
And a lot of times we are, but that's because the
family
family
heirloom.
court isn't fair.
That Braithwaite treasure.
No, I'm gonna accept it because Sean died for it.
Thank you. Now,
I don't care if I take a karma loss.
Before any more of your relatives show up.
That might be wise.
Hey, you there? Yeah? This couple is heading up north to the Boston line. They got money, they'll pay you on arrival. That work for you?
Yeah, sounds fine. Get on in.
Hey, you carry protection on a journey like this?
I wouldn't be much of a stage driver if I didn't. Goes everywhere I do. Hey!
Miss Braithwaite is gonna hold on to this until arrival. On account of the treasure on your person.
I don't know how to thank you.
You're a fine man, sir.
Just get out of here. All in.
Yeah!
That's another reason I did that mission. I knew that no matter what I did, I would get a karma boost.
Yeah.
Okay. What is next? Oh, I've been wanting to do this guy's mission. This next mission this dude is doing is funny as fuck. You'll see. Yeah, in hindsight, that probably wasn't good to give Arthur gin in his condition.
Now, come on.
Just hope that a train doesn't come as I take the scenic route. No, not gonna do that.
Good boy. That's it, boy.
You know what I've never had happen, though? Where I've stayed away from camp so long someone's come to get me. Maybe that might have happened once, but I don't exactly remember. After all, this game is 4 years old. At least. What I am gonna do, maybe not this game through, but not this playthrough, but the next playthrough, I'm gonna try and find Lenny and Sean and Hosea's grave. Why not? Kieran too, I guess. I've never done that on any of the playthroughs. I think I went to Arthur's grave. Oh, disregard that. I mean, you know he's gonna die. He's got TB. The only question is how. Plus, we know he's not in the first game. This shouldn't be news to anybody. I knew he was fucked as soon as he got the TB diagnosis. Because like I said, I got a friend whose mom, and she was, in a way, my friend at the time, but... That's probably gonna up my bounty, but I'm doing the... I did the right thing. It's gonna give me a karma boost letting her go. See? I take a karma hit for killing them, but then when I let her go, I get karma. Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? I wish this game had an ending where you could end the game with medium karma. See, someone's already investigating. I gotta go. You know what? You two need to mind your fucking business, so... That's what happens to people that don't mind their business.
Come on.
I don't hear or see law enforcement, and I don't see their indicators, but the music is telling me I should be alert. I think Arthur could use a good bowl of stew and some coffee.
Yeah, okay, boy.
I don't know if any of you have ever had buffalo meat, but in addition to trying buffalo burgers, as they are, and buffalo ribs is probably my favorite. Buffalo with carrots and potatoes is pretty good too. Buffalo stew. Very healthy. A lot of the old timers love it like that. The elders, uncles, and aunties. Definitely healthier than a modern diet. I'm not much of a stew person, but I'll still eat that. There better not be Lemoyne Raiders on the other side of this bridge. You know, the drawbridges remind me of Cottage Grove, Oregon, which is the drawbridge capital of the state. I lived there for like 9 months, and I used to visit there regularly. But I hate the drawbridges in this game, or the closed, whatever the fuck. The closed bridge. I hate them because it's very easy for Lemoyne Raiders to set up ambushes with them, and they usually do.
I'll make it.
Man, he's lucky I didn't just shoot him right there. Not that bullshit. If I didn't have business in town, that fool would be dead.
You're all right, boy.
Okay, that means they're upstairs. You know, I got a friend that lives in New Orleans, but is from Baton Rouge. But I just don't know if I ever want to visit New Orleans personally. I want to visit most of the country, but some parts I want to avoid, just because I know I wouldn't enjoy it. So it's probably safe to say that the Bible Belt is one of those areas I probably will skip. I might go to Georgia or North Carolina, but I don't know about Louisiana. Okay, where is Charles?
I just don't like how much time you're spending with the man is all.
Here we go. This shit is about to be funny.
It's very progressive.
Well, I'm not so very sure how I think that it's great.
There he is.
Far too modern for my taste.
Nice tits.
Look at these idiots.
Excuse me, Mr. Chatternet. Couldn't you have painted some drawers on her?
Madame, I paint her in her natural state, as she was and will be in paradise.
There's nothing natural about that.
Clothes are civilization, repression, death. To be naked is to be free, innocent, alive. Like Buddha said, you know, we are all just here to fuck.
Well, that explains the decadence of those Hottentots.
Hey, you got a picture of my wife here. In her delicates.
Henry, is that your behind? Why would you be showing it to that man?
That's my mama. As nude as the day she was born.
Stop looking at my husband's buttocks.
Stop looking at my mama.
Well, maybe she shouldn't expose herself like that.
This is disgusting.
The nerve on you!
That's it!
Come on, Mildred. This is no place for us.
Come here,
son
of
a bitch!
You filthy little man!
I'm shutting mine.
Come on, horse, we'll leave it.
I'm coming after you, Frenchie!
Hey.
All right.
Yeah. That's funny, man. He's got all these people enraged. He drew a lot of pictures of naked women. I never actually looked at the pictures. But yeah, I could see how this would be too much for people in this era. Let's see. Yeah, it's mostly naked women. I don't even see the dude that they're talking about.
You're dead.
Fucking ginger. No, he's a good artist. He actually is a good artist. Yeah, I'm coming.
This show is well and truly over. Let's get out of here. Come on. I know a place where I can disappear for a few days. Allez, allez, vite!
You know, on Brandy Street in New Orleans, one thing I do know, though, or excuse me, Bourbon Street, a friend of mine made a, not a parody, but a fan fiction of, like, if there was a Grand Theft Auto in New Orleans, so I got in the habit of saying Brandy Street, but
It was not.
there's, like, a section of Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
Just people, push them. I thought I was a fraud, no talent brush washer. Now I'm not sure. We provoke emotions, no?
You keep provoking emotions like that, and all your canvases left punch holes through.
I told you I was a whole ass.
You did, and you are. Now maybe go be an asshole somewhere else for a while.
In a town like this, yeah, he could have very easily gotten shot. It could have been way worse than a fist fight.
Good luck.
That picture I gave you, it will be worth something someday. I can feel it.
Perhaps. Right now, seems like the only thing it'd get me is kicking the balls.
Oh, you are funny, you know. I hope to see you again sometime.
You will.
My angel, my little bird, it's me.
Alright, we're done with this one. God, I didn't mean to do that. Wow. Sorry. I thought I couldn't. I thought you could only shoot them. Never mind. I better get out of here. Don't want to push my luck. I wasn't trying to tackle him, though. That's what sucks about the controls in this game. I swear. It makes you do shit unintentionally that you weren't trying to do. And then the new... God, I hate the cops in the city. I get why Arthur and John hate this town. Like, it's the city, and there's the most to do here, but it's fucking ridiculous. You guys are freaking Nazis, man. You're freaking Nazis. Like Cookie Monster on Family Guy. Why? You know, I have a right to shoot you. It's self-defense. They don't go at the Lemoyne Raiders this hard. That's the biggest joke about it. They come at us this hard, but they won't go and wipe out the Lemoyne Raiders themselves. I find that hypocritical and cowardly. At least the Greys tried to do something about the Lemoyne Raiders. These city cops didn't do shit. I mean, it might have been because they were enemies, but the fact remains they did more against the Lemoyne Raiders than the Saint Denis Police Department did. I mean, basically in this era, as neo-Confederate holdouts, these guys would be considered modern-day terrorists. And they're after me. Because, you know, the word terrorism became really popular after 9/11, obviously, but there was a lot of terrorism in the Civil War, the American Revolution, all those wars. We just didn't call it that, but it was. See, they have a ridiculous amount of patrols beyond to the point where I can't even suspend my disbelief. Police forces were not this big. If I had killed as many cops in a police station back in 1899 and I'd only been gone for what, a couple weeks, I guarantee they would not have this many cops available after the fact. Hell, the way cops are like quitting their jobs now, I wouldn't even say that they would be able to come out in full force like this now. Because like the LAPD, for example, I think I can't even remember. It's like 50 cops a week quit. Fuck you and your whistle. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. The little crocs. Nah, let's just leave them. Yeah, let them eat them. I want to see them eat them. Come on. You gotta be hungry. Eat that fucker. Oh, they probably can't. That's too much. Those are the little guys. That's too much meat for them. Alright, let's go. God damn it, what's wrong with the aim here? God, this is ridiculous.
This is ableism. You cops are killing a sick man. I want you canceled. This is ableism.
There we go. Now fuck off and take the hint. Ridiculous, man. Come on. Cops are not all... They are never this competent in real life. Ever. Like, if you don't believe me, next time you hear about some mass shooter, just look and see what the cops do. Nothing.
Easy, boy, you're okay.
I don't like a lot of gang members. I've had gang members that are friends sometimes from school and after that, but I don't like cops either. Gangs don't protect you from the cops, and cops don't protect you from the gangs. If you think that they do, then you're probably from the suburbs and you've probably never been anywhere near the PJs. That's the shit I hate too, is when people that ain't from any barrio, any ghetto, any hood, whatever you want to call it, they want to act like they're hood, but they grew up in the suburbs. You see a lot of people like that in Seattle. That's just ridiculous. I need to... Oh, I'm almost out of Mauser ammo. Goddamn. Okay. It is? Okay. Well, I need to get out of this area first, so... Fuck everything else right now. Oh yeah, we're about to go bust John out. Let's just go do that. And then after that, I'm probably gonna call it. This has been going on too long. But you know what? No, let's switch pistols. Okay, so we're out of regular pistol ammo. Damn, even the volcanic's down. Clean it. Okay, you know what's funny about this, though? It would have been way cooler if Abigail had actually come along for this mission, but they didn't play it that way, but... Still would have been cool. Since she's an OG character. Well, I didn't mean to take a worn revolver anyway. Does this need to be maintained? You know, I didn't used to use this gun, but when my friend came over, my homie, he was like, I can tell you don't use this rifle very often because it's clean, and it's like, while that was true, Now if he tries to say that, it's like, no, actually, it's in good condition because I use gun oil. But he is right.
Well, it's gonna be violent.
I can handle myself just fine. I'm coming.
Like I said, ain't happening. You got a boy.
And I understand Sadie's position on that, but the issue is it's not her kid, or no, it's not her husband that's whose ass is on the line. And what if Sadie wasn't around? Then it would be up to Arthur and Abigail.
I insist.
Insist all you like. Ain't happening. Arthur, tell her.
Tell her what?
She ain't coming with us to collect her husband.
Abigail, you ain't coming. That's the end of the matter.
See, there you heard him.
See, why are you
Now let's
siding
go.
with her on this? It's
But
not like it...
Nothing. It'll be quicker and easier with just the two of us. Plus, John will be calmer without worrying about you.
I mean, that's
Ain't
good. That's a
complicated.
good reason.
Well, I ain't the crying sort, but I'm real grateful.
Yeah, we know you are. We'll bring him back to you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Okay, see, that right there is another reason not to like Sadie. Charles helps me row the fucking boat. That guy Thomas rowed the boat. But Sadie's too good to row the boat. Come the fuck on. And you know, John wouldn't have had to worry about her if they just kept Abigail in the boat, or just where they're stashed, escape. Don't tell John that you're breaking her out, or that she's along, I mean. And then he sees when it's already time to escape, and then once you get free, you're free.
Then all we gotta do is take out all the guards and row our way out of there. Seems simple enough.
You mean I gotta do that, not you. We ain't doing nothing, Sadie. But yeah, I would play as her completely.
Okay, bring us over.
It's just that they should give her a redemption arc at this point. She's borderline evil by the epilogue, seems to me.
Let's head for that watchtower.
Okay. I'll deal with him.
Okay. Come on up.
Yeah, I think what I need to do now, after I wrap this up, is go do some exercise. Because I'm pretty pissed about a social issue I'm thinking about in particular. And, that's another thing, well, no, I'm not going to bring up the person I said I wouldn't bring up again, but just with male motivation and better yourself type of shit, it pays off.
Grab that rifle. You can use the scope.
To use your negative emotions, which, let's face it, most dudes nowadays are going to have a lot. Use that to get in shape. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use all my anger, all my rage, all my sorrow to get in shape, because... Sorry, but positive emotions don't do that for me. It doesn't really work that way with positive emotions and exercising. I can't speak for every man, but I can speak for myself, and that's all I need to do. Or men that are like me, but... men that ain't like me, I don't spend... Like, I can deal with people with differing views, but I don't... Like, I don't go out of my way to hang out with people that are a little more on the left. I can kind of get along with Republicans, because there's some Republicans in our community, just like there's a lot of libs. But I can get along best with the kind of Republican who still doesn't like Trump. Other than that, I wouldn't have that many issues or problems. Maybe you could say I'm more center-right. I don't know. I'm conservative in the sense of I want to conserve our culture, but not on a national level.
There's a bunch of them, though.
Wait, did you find him? You might as well do something useful.
Just to our right. You see him? There's 2 guards. Take them out, and let's go get our boy. Wait, shit! I don't think that was John.
Well, let's go over
That's
there
because
and
you're
see.
stupid.
Okay, come on. I think one of those guards was still moving.
See? Sadie's an idiot. Like, she'll get something done, but all of her victories, when you really think about it, are ultimately Pyrrhic victories. I guess you could say this game is one giant Pyrrhic victory, but...
Come on, Arthur. Let's keep moving.
Where is he? You see him?
No. You, Mister. You know John Marston?
He ain't working today.
Put the gun down, lady.
No. You put the gun down. Now.
And the other thing is, that I don't buy about Sadie as a gunslinger, is she hasn't been an outlaw even as long as Abigail was, or any of these girls, like Tilly. Susan said she's not innocent. So they might have more conventionally female characteristics, like they dress in dresses rather than pants, but she's gonna knock him out.
Come on, partner.
There is no way that was enough to knock him out.
Pointing a gun at her.
Excuse me?
I said apologize.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Ain't no harm done.
So, where do we go?
Towards the entrance, I guess.
All I will say with Sadie and Arthur is there's like 4 different endings for this, and no matter which ending you're talking about, she's partially responsible for all of it. She does good in the end, but
They're not gonna let you do this.
Well, that's gonna be up
her
to you,
stupid rage has... I don't know, you know?
You a popular employee, my friend?
Not especially.
Well, I guess we're about to find out.
Come on, march him straight up to the front gate.
We better hope someone in there actually gives a damn about this fool.
Guess we'll see. We're gonna have to shoot our way out of here regardless.
I mean, she's competent in a gunfight just like Micah, but she really is like Micah. She might not share his prejudices, and she might not have rapey tendencies, but she's every bit as much of a crash dummy as he is. She's a crash dummy, that's what she is. She thinks she's a boss lady, but she's a crash dummy.
Is Jameson in?
He's insulted me. They got Milliken.
Got him and gonna kill him. Unless you bring me John Marston. Right now. You got 1 minute. I'm counting. 1, 2, 3. Milliken, is it?
Yes, sir.
Will you count for me? I got talking to do.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. From 1 or 4?
Oh, very funny. No, we must be at 11 by now.
11, 12, 13,
faster.
14, 15, 16, 17.
Now hurry up! Well, this poor fool's gonna get his brain shot out. And over what? For nothing. Milliken, don't stop counting. I can't hear you.
Hurry up and bring that asshole out here, you bastards! Come on!
Don't cry, buddy.
I don't want to die.
Yeah, I know. Hey, John. Love you too. Now, no funny business. Or Mr. Milliken here will stop crying once and for all. Okay, today's your lucky day. Let's go.
I could kill him, but I'm not going to. I usually do. Like, Arthur and John have been outlaws longer than Sadie, and she thinks she can boss them around, and it's like, no, you're the fucking news kid on the block, and these are the guys that do the most. But I approve of Sadie's choice of rifle more than Charles. Charles really needs more long-range weapons. Like, he has the bow for silence and somewhat long range, and he has pistols and shotguns, but he won't embrace rifles. Don't know why. This is like Django Unchained level of bloodshed. You know, even though it's a different era, I'm sure that anyone who has ever done time in prison probably enjoyed this segment. Fuck. I should have took the Springfield. It's kind of cool dodging bullets when you just kind of like that, like when you see the trajectory, and it's just kind of cool from a scientific standpoint. I know.
We gotta move! This way! Follow me! Get down! Hold them up so we can get to the boat!
Man, we really fucked a lot of people up, didn't we? And you notice that that guy that died in the balloon because of Sadie, his name was Arturo too, Arthur in Spanish, so it's just kind of funny. That's two Arthurs that die either in his presence or as a result of something he's involved in, although I still would attribute this more to Sadie than Arthur, that Arturo didn't make it.
You always seem to need rescuing, Marston.
I know this game should be called Red Dead Rescue.
Some fellas coming here don't look too friendly. We best get out of here.
Come on, boss, let's move! I'll row. You shoot.
Seriously?
Let me. You're a better shot.
Right, fine. You just
Yeah,
relax and enjoy yourself,
exactly.
John. Leave
That's
the
what I
real
wish you would have
work
done
to
from the
them that can
start.
still handle it.
Thanks.
Keep them off us.
Turn that boat around.
You need some iron in your diet. Yeah, John needs a shave too. I guess this wasn't an era where prisoners were able to shave.
Trussed up like a prize chicken.
No doubt.
Hurry up. They're gonna be on our tails soon enough if you boys keep wasting time.
That's us told them.
Hey, Arthur. Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Like, at least Miss Grimshaw is old enough to pull rank and is a seasoned member.
So what the hell happened in Saint Denis? Is Abigail all right?
She's fine. Jack is too. She managed to escape when they got Hosea.
Hosea?
Like, I know women like Sadie. I get it. I'm not gonna judge you for liking it, but I'm just explaining in logical reasoning why I don't. There are some things I like about her, but it's like 60-40 for me with favoring dislike.
And then we... What about the money?
Lost somewhere at the bottom of the ocean.
What? How the hell did that happen?
We hit on a boat. It was the only way out of there. The boat went down in a storm, and we ended up stranded on an island somewhere near Cuba.
Cuba? Wait, you're gonna have to tell me all this again.
It's a long story, but things ain't been good, John.
You're telling me?
Yeah, we're gonna need that story for when Jack writes a book about us both someday.
Some caves there. The Pinkertons caught up with us again, and we hadn't moved.
Yeah, seems Molly ratted us out, the bitch. So she's dead too.
Jesus. Maybe you should have just left me to hang.
And I should warn you, Dutch didn't want us breaking you.
But I wonder, do you think Sadie would have killed Molly in any circumstance?
So much for no man left behind. I can't stop thinking about this. In the bank, when they grabbed me, he saw it. Felt almost like he had a moment to do something and didn't.
Dutch ain't himself right now. Or maybe he just ain't who we thought he was.
Guess we don't need to worry about who's his favorite no more.
Guess not.
Yeah, because right now that's Micah. Because Dutch is stupid. He took a hit from the trolley crash, but then he shouldn't be leading a gang, you know? Step down. Be a backseat driver like Hosea or Uncle. Let somebody younger take over. Like, I think if you're gonna start a gang in the Old West or anywhere, you can't have your name on it, because it's like, if it's family run, you know,
we told you we would.
Those who ain't family. I don't know. It doesn't have to be called the Vanderlyn Gang, is what I'm saying.
Good to see you too, partner.
I meant I had.
There's only one Vanderlyn.
Yet. I will.
But I said that.
Yeah, I know what you said. I felt different.
Is that so?
Yes.
And when Spring and John brings the law down on all of us, what then, Arthur?
Well, I guess we'll have another fight on our hands.
Alright, I'm gonna wrap it up here.
Arthur, it ain't.
After this.
I had a goddamn plan!
The way he said plan was funny right there.
John.
I use this for memes.
You are my brother. You are my son.
What is this, Chinatown? Which is it?
They was talking of hanging me, Dutch.
They was talking. They was talking. And now they may come and hang us all.
See, it's irresponsible of Arthur, too, because I know Mike is going to know that I have tuberculosis when he starts calling me Black Lung. But Arthur should have told other people, too, long before. Maybe, I don't know if there would have been a way to make sure Micah didn't find out, but he should have told the people closest to him. And he hasn't even told Charles yet, because he's going to do it in a different mission, but that's not some information you sit on.
Arthur!
Oh, sorry. I was miles away, thinking of...
a wolf.
I don't know.
Dutch said to tell you he and Mike have gone to Annisburg. Something about Mr. Cornwall.
Cornwall.
Okay.
Mr.
Thanks,
Cornhole.
Maribeth.
Yeah, we'll be dealing with that piece of shit soon.
Hey, she don't deserve that.
Deserve what? I didn't do nothing. Shave here. No, I'm shaving first.
What would I do without you?
You would watch your fucking husband die. That's what you would do. Yeah, you're gonna be more frightened when I kick you out again. That's what makes it even funnier. That I'm throwing him out there. He's scared.
I'm a changed man, Herr Strauss. Entirely changed. I have been saved from hell.
We are going to die.
Of course, but not yet. And the path shall become clear. I have been saved, Herr Strauss.
You've gotten that.
Herr Strauss is the reason that I have tuberculosis. I mean, it's partially my fault, too.
Hello, Morgan.
Glad somebody's feeling good about all this.
Have faith, Mr. Morgan.
Hey, Uncle.
Mr. Morgan? Goddamn traitors. You were nothing but a street rat when he found you. He believed in you when no other son of a bitch would. And him? You ain't been nothing but a bad apple from the start. You ain't even been with us a full year and you think you know
Just
better.
knock him out, Charles.
And
You tossed Micah when he called you a redskin. You should fucking knock this little bitch out. Okay, let me antagonize this fat fuck.
All of you.
Yeah, and you're a fat rapist. Not even that, you're fat in an era where it wasn't even normal to be fat. So you're just greedy.
You're too dumb to understand what's going on, ain't you?
Don't you even start with me.
Fuck you.
Try to explain.
Why are you messing with
You were just...
Damn,
fucking bitch. It's alright, Bill.
Let's go, boy.
Keep talking your bullshit. Pearson. Arthur Londonderry. Let's get that. Okay, yeah, I remember what happened last time, and it was my fault, obviously, but... Good. I'm gonna try and do as many side missions as I can before I get to the last mission.
Hey, boy. It's one of them what hurt our kid.
Yup, that's goddamn right. I'll do it again.
Hey, who are you? It's getting hot. Damn it! It's okay.
Come follow me. Follow me, you rednecks. That's not how you spell that name. You're about to know exactly how they felt. Give my regards to Honey Boo Boo. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's another way that unlocks the bonds, I forgot. No! Oh my god. That actually made my heart fucking skip a beat. Just like you're on a roller coaster. Because that's a good horse. I don't want that horse dead. But it killed me too, so hopefully that restarts it. You know, I might even, I'll have to backtrack quite a bit, and I'll have to do that backtracking off the gameplay stream. It's easier for me. But, do some backtracking and look for that guy Hamish. I mean, if Arthur's only got a limited time, he might as well. Yes. Now he looks better, a little bit, because he washed his face. But I'm still wanted dead or alive. But I'll tell you this, I won't even let them catch me in death. You'll see. A lot of people, you know, in addition to Sadie, they want Charles to have a game of his own, and it would be cool. But he doesn't really commit the kind of atrocities that would justify having to have him be on the path of redemption. Like, okay, I would be okay with Charles playing as an epilogue character that was also featured heavily in the main game of Red Dead Redemption 3 or something. It'd also be cool if they had Charles, Jack, and Sadie, but Rockstar would never be that cool.
Yeah, good boy.
Sadie's the one more in need of a redemption arc. The only way Charles, and I don't see this happening with him, he would have to degenerate as a character the way Sadie kind of did, and succumb to brutality for whatever reason to even justify it. And it's interesting because when he leaves, I don't know if there's a reaction from Dutch about it, so I'm gonna look. Because yeah.
You're okay, boy.
Just want to be able to find it. I like finding the hidden dialogue.
Can I help you? Oh, we're trying to mine coal here.
You know where I can find Arthur Londonderry?
Arthur Londonderry? I think you're gonna want to speak with the foreman. Head way down there towards the coalface.
Yeah, we're gonna absolve the debt and wrap it up. I already did that. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna save this time.
Arthur Londonderry. Here?
I'm sorry, feller, but you're too late.
He might have a point about me being a debtor, and maybe it would seem that I'm hypocritical because of it, because the guy worked himself to death, but you're supposed to be his boss. You're supposed to be his leader. You're supposed to be the guy that's leading it an example by example for him, and you're just more thinking it's funny that he's dead. And you think it's funny that his wife is gonna get foreclosed on. Like, I don't know. Maybe I can't pass the moral judgment on him, but at least Arthur does make an effort to help undo some of the damage he's done. Whereas that guy who's just like, fuck you, you're on your own. Capitalism, bitch. What do you think I'm trying to do? You dumb sister fister.
Come on, boy.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's it, boy.
just want to get that shit over with so we can kick Strauss out. You know, in the high honor version, when you kick him out, I think he says, I was your friend, whereas here he just said, I was your comrade. You know, I use the term camarada a lot because of the kind of most of my friends and the area I grew up in, most of who I socialize with, but like camarada, when it's used in that context in Spanish, it feels genuine, but with the word comrade itself, when I hear it as it is, a lot of times it's used by left-wingers, and it's used very superficially. The way Christians call you brother, very superficial, very surface level. There's no real substance or meat to it. There's no... I just don't like meaningless gestures and small talk. But I like to tackle the more heavy shit.
Gonna pack all your stuff, Angel?
I don't want to go.
You brought this on yourself, shut
Mrs. Londonderry.
Arthur's dead.
I know. I just wanted to say...
There you go. Damn, he gave 55 bucks, so maybe I should have just absolved the debt. Jesus. Yeah, fuck Strauss. He's such an unnecessary character. Like, if you wanted Arthur to be a sacrificial lamb in some kind of way, or just have him die some kind of way... I mean, I'm not saying that the way he went out was necessarily... You'll see. And if possible, I'll try to show all the endings, if possible. A lot of the streamers are doing that now, and I think that's a good idea. Okay, first I want to escape these cops, and then I'm gonna go to Strauss. There we go. Maybe a little camp interaction, and then we'll call it. See, that's a nice shot right there. You don't see it like that anymore for the most part. You gotta get really deep out into nature to find... You gotta look for it now. So much deforestation all over the world. Cutting down trees needlessly, so... You gotta go out of your way to get out of the city to see some real beauty like this. Like, you can look at pictures of it on the internet, but you know it's not the same. I mean, you taking a picture in person is better than looking at it on the internet, but even still, just taking it all in with your own eyes, that should be first, and then the pictures you take of that scenery is secondary, but you know, that's just me. Something John says later to his son that I find really relatable. Because I've lived in a country area before, but I've also lived in sort of smaller cities and a big city, so...
Mr. Morgan, you don't look very well.
I'm dying, bitch.
I fear I'm pretty sick.
I'm so sorry.
You seem well, on the other hand?
Yes, I've stopped all that silly business. I think I'm okay.
Well, that's wonderful news. How?
I don't know. I met a Catholic lady, a nun, and we prayed, and it was lifted.
I bet it was Sister Calderon.
Good.
I can't believe it. Really, I can't.
If I have low honor, he'll confess to Reverend Swanson. And if I have high honor, I confront her. Which is kind of funny, because if we're basing this shit off Christianity, then the fucking Protestant is your low karma ending. Or confession, I should say. And Catholicism is your high karma. I don't know. It's just kind of funny.
How did you get on?
But it's more to do with one's an outlaw and one's not. But I've never seen Reverend Swanson shoot anybody.
Get up.
What?
Get up.
What is wrong?
I gained karma for that.
Hey,
Good evening, Arthur.
hard to believe it's come to this. Hey, that's why we're all here.
Sure, Arthur.
And then Javier starts acting like a little bitch ever since he got back from the island. And maybe it's because he got shot, I guess, and he got left behind and tortured. That would probably be reason enough to be bitter, but I don't understand a lot of his motivation.
I know you did. I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
Good, because you blasted.
Lead to it.
Yeah.
Man, if they had the option to kill Strauss, I would have done it.
Don't you give me that look.
So just like that, Strauss is gone?
For his own good. This is done, Abigail. Okay. Guess I'll see you later then.
Let's go talk to Bill and maybe antagonize him.
Are you gonna throw me out like Strauss?
Maybe I should, you little fucker.
If it comes to it. Well, try to keep your head straight.
Yeah.
I'd like to throw you down a mine shaft, to be honest. Same with Strauss. Or into an alligator swamp. See what Pearson says. I know he doesn't like this shit either. He looks like he's about at it.
It's over, Mr. Morgan. It's all over. It's over. Perhaps not, Mr. Pearson. What a mess we made of everything. What a sad mess.
Indeed.
Still, I got a friend right here.
Let's hope people behave this evening.
I've never antagonized Trelawney before. I don't even know if it'll let me. You got something to say? Even about what just happened? Just throwing... She didn't really interact with Strauss much, I don't think.
Really need you boys to get out there and hunt. Supplies are low.
You know, you're perfectly capable of doing this too.
Don't you overcook this now, Pearson. Good job, Mr. Morgan.
I guess that's good.
You want to sit over there? Thanks for sticking with us. Of course. Hang in there. All right, Arthur. It was time for Strauss to go.
Sure, I won't miss him.
There's a few others should go too. Tomorrow's another day.
Hi.
Hey, Mary Beth.
Can't take too many days like this.
Tilly?
You ain't gonna kick me out too, are you?
Yes.
No. You we need. Nobody's forcing you to stay here, Mary Beth.
How do I deserve that?
Probably don't. Let's see where I'm gonna go after I wrap this up. Pretty ridiculous, alright. Wanted here. Not really here. Need to explore Amberino more. Well, actually, that's not where I'm wanted anyway, so... Okay. I'm gonna fast travel to Strawberry. Alright, I'm gonna call it. Catch you guys later. Skana.